It's happening. It just happened to me. You saw it live on camera. It's happening to other people. I have nothing to gain and everything to lose by calling Jaclyn Hill a liar.
Few controversies in beauty industry history shocked the community as much as the first launch of Jaclyn Hill's Jaclyn Cosmetics. A main reason why this particular controversy was so shocking was because it was so multi-layered, and how even now, years later, many people still don't know the truth of what actually happened. At the center is longtime beauty influencer Jaclyn Hill, known for her vibrant girl-next-door personality, who many makeup lovers saw as a big sister or a best friend who happened to be really good at makeup. And when this beautiful, friendly woman released her first lipstick line, hundreds of thousands of units sold out in minutes. But what customers and fans didn't know was that when they received the lipsticks, there would be something very, very wrong with them.
This is the shade Decaf, and this is from the purchased collection, so this is not from my PR collection. I'm gonna insert a photo of this here and see if it can do it justice to just how horrifying this lipstick looks.
But that's only the beginning of this scandal, because over the next 4 years, as Jaclyn told story after story about what happened and why, we would eventually find out that so much of what she told us was a lie. Videos have been made, speculations have been speculated, but today is the day when you will see all of the pieces put together. What is the truth? What do we know to be a lie? And how has Jaclyn continued to manipulate the narrative so that her fans believe her version of events and defend her, even when their eyes are telling them a different story? This is more than the tale of a lipstick launch gone wrong. It's the story of the cover-up, of why it went wrong, and secrets that were revealed that Jaclyn never expected us to learn. Today, I'm telling the true story, so you can see the evidence, hear the excuses, and decide for yourself what really happened, once and for all. This is Behind the Controversy, LipstickGate, and it starts right now. Hello, my friend. Welcome back, and if you are new here, hi, my name is Jen, and you have stumbled upon a channel called Jen Love. And on this channel, we mostly talk makeup news. We talk about what's happening in the industry. I have a weekly makeup news show called What's Up in Makeup. That's my main gig. But every once in a while, I do a deep dive, and I call it Behind the Controversy. Oftentimes, when there's something that's happening, we don't know all of the information as it's unfolding. And once something has concluded, I really like to go back and take all the pieces, put them together, and see what the true picture shows us. And that's what we're going to be doing today with LipstickGate, which is one of the biggest controversies that our beauty space has ever seen. And I think why this resonates so hard with a lot of us is because it never really felt fully resolved. Today, we're going to resolve it. I want you to leave this video feeling like we can close this chapter. We know mostly what happened, and more importantly, at least to me, why it happened. So we're going to talk about that. But before we do, just in case, I want to do a quick recap of who in the world is Jaclyn Hill. Before we jump deep into the story, I want to take just a minute and talk about who Jaclyn presented herself to be before LipstickGate. How did she earn this undying trust from her fans? What is her story? So starting off at the beginning, Jaclyn Roxanne Eilers was born on July 20th of 1990 in a town called Mineral, Illinois, and she was a farmer's daughter. Her dad owned a giant commercial farm. He grew crops including soybeans, and he also raised hogs. But something very serious happened to Jaclyn's father in 1998. He was in a car accident, and after that accident, the truck driver was found to be at fault, so he sued the trucking company because after his accident, he couldn't farm anymore, and in that lawsuit, he won $4 million. Soon after he won that lawsuit, the family packed up their bags and they moved to Tampa, Florida. There is a very interesting article that I will link below in the St. Petersburg Times, and in that article, they interviewed Jaclyn's father, and he said that he felt inspired after surviving that accident to pursue Christian ministry. He was very evangelical, and he said in that article that it was time to stop harvesting crops and start harvesting souls. As a result of Jaclyn's father's ministry, she traveled all over the world, and she had said at one point she went to different countries in Africa 9 times. Most likely because she traveled so much, Jaclyn was homeschooled throughout her entire childhood. She did reportedly go to 1 year of college, and that was as a photography major, and she dropped out after that first year and started working at a Mac counter. And that was when Jaclyn's life changed forever. Besides loving doing makeup and interacting with the customers, she also fell in love with a man named John Hill. This is August of 2009, and not long after they started dating, they got married. At the time, John was a server in a local restaurant, and he was also doing paid gigs with his band as a drummer. If you've watched Jaclyn Hill for any length of time, you have heard this part that comes next. She said that when she was married to John in their early days, they were really struggling financially, and they were on food stamps.
Little old me who couldn't pay bills and used to sit in the dark and light candles with this guy, and the fact that I can actually see my face in the place that I shopped at for years, the place that I used to go to my lunch break and couldn't afford.
I want to have a brand of my own. And at the time, I was on food stamps and there was no brand in mind. It's like I remember working at the Mac store, all right? And this is when I was physically on food stamps. I was struggling in my personal life. That's when I was on food stamps and I had my EBT card that I was so embarrassed by, right? Went to 1 semester of college, broke as shit on food stamps, moving from state to state, living on couch to couch with my husband at the time, start recording videos, and poof, all of a sudden, millions of dollars are coming in, millions of subscribers are coming in.
But Jaclyn had this passion for makeup, and she knew a lot about it, and she was good at it. So she turned on her camera in 2011, and she filmed her first YouTube video.
Okay, so again, very wearable holiday look inspired by Kim Kardashian. I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Don't think that like I'm trying to say I look like her or anything. I know, I get it. I'm not cute. But if you're not so annoyed that you haven't turned off this video already, keep watching.
In a video from late 2015, she said also that during this time, she really struggled with her mental health.
Get on camera and I'm happy and I'm peppy. That's because I love what I'm doing here. I'm not always happy and peppy. I had been diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, depression, anxiety, panic attacks, agoraphobia. I mean, I have so many mental issues I've worked through, and I was going to a therapist 3 times a week for 2.5 hours, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for 2 years while I was here on YouTube, and you guys didn't know about it because I had a lot of personal issues.
But Jaclyn covered this up really well. When she turned on the camera, she was playful, she was funny, she was charismatic, she was extremely likable, and she gained a following really quickly. But things, like I said, they were not going well behind the scenes. Besides struggling financially, John was struggling with addiction. He said in an interview that back in 2012, in the early days of Jaclyn's YouTube channel, that he was on so many drugs that he was having seizures. But despite these challenges, like I said, Jaclyn could really turn it on for the camera. And by 2014, she was landing some of the very first collaborations with beauty companies that a YouTuber had ever done. She had a brush set with Sigma Beauty. She did a bunch of lip products with Gerard Cosmetics. She did a favorites palette with Morphe. That was all in 2014. Jen Gerard did an interview at one point, and she said that during her time with Gerard Cosmetics, Jaclyn Hill earned over $500,000. So I would guess she was probably earning hundreds of thousands of dollars for each of these collabs. It was also that year that Jaclyn hit 1 million subscribers. And of course, she was selling out products for these companies. So more and more brands started going, oh my gosh, this woman can really bring in sales. So by 2015, she had even more collabs. These were more collabs with Morphe and also her very famous collaborations with Becca Cosmetics. I do have a behind the controversy on Becca Cosmetics. I'll link that down below. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, I digress. So I'm stressing this because this was huge in our beauty space, and Jaclyn was spearheading this new way for influencers to be highlighted, to be held up on a pedestal. But Jaclyn had another skill, and that was when problems came up within these collaborations, she had a way of getting out of it relatively unscathed, and it just, the sales themselves just encouraged more and more growth for Jaclyn on her YouTube channel and also in brand deals. And because of that, it was really only a matter of time before Jaclyn launched her own cosmetic brand, Jaclyn Cosmetics. Before we dive deep into this story, I want to let you know that this video is very kindly sponsored by Typology. Typology is a vegan and cruelty-free skincare brand formulated and manufactured in France. These are hybrid products that give you both long-term benefits of skincare in addition to immediate visual effects. Some days I do not feel like doing a full face of makeup, but I want to look put together. And with Typology, I can go from this to this in under 5 minutes. Here's how I did it. I grabbed first for my Typology tinted serum in the shade 1. Not only do I get a light tint, but I also get the antioxidant effects of vitamin C, skin balancing from the squalane, and skin soothing from the aloe vera. It is the perfect amount of tint to cancel out discoloration. But to be honest, on most days, I want a little more. So I do grab for their tinted concealer. It has caffeine and niacinamide. That helps with puffiness and dark circles both instantly and over time. Then there is their lip oil, which is one of my favorite products. It's just a slight bit of tint with vitamin E and squalane and jojoba oil, and it is not sticky at all. So I do feel comfortable putting this not just on my lips, but also on my cheeks for a slight flush of color. And then to pull it all together, I use my absolute favorite tinted brow gel of all time to fill in my brows quickly and evenly without hardly any effort. And finally, just a touch of Typology mascara for a natural lash look to brighten and open my eyes for the day. It is so fast and easy and practically effortless. If you are interested in trying Typology for yourself, they have given me a special offer. If you go over to the Typology Paris website and you spend at least $50, they will give you a full-size scalp scrub for free. But here's the thing, it only lasts for 1 week after this video goes live, so go check them out. They are an amazing company that makes amazing products, and I know you're going to love them just as much as I do. When we think about Jaclyn Cosmetics' first launch of her lipsticks, we typically think about what happened with them, the complete disaster that was that launch. But we don't typically think about that this was not something that she just jumped into out of nowhere. She had been planning to launch makeup for a really long time. In fact, in November of 2014, Jaclyn tweeted, "Yes, the rumors are true. I'm creating my own makeup line. It won't be released for a long time because I'm doing it all on my own." And I do believe that Jaclyn did intend to start Jaclyn Cosmetics completely solo.
Number one asked question is, am I going to have my own cosmetic line? Is that a rumor or is it true? So I figured that that's the question that I would start with, since it is like literally every other tweet. And yes, I am going to have my own cosmetic line. I have been dropping hints and I've been talking about it for years now. My mom and I have been working on it for 3 years. I am doing everything, every single little tiny detail on my own. I am the only one paying for it. I am the only one in control. It has been such a learning experience. It has been so hard. My mom and I are working our butts off, but I wanted to be able to make sure that whatever I put my name on is like fully mine, and I can take full responsibility and it can be my creation. So that's what we're working on right now. The launch keeps getting pushed back because we keep running into walls, and it's been a learning process for sure. It's been amazing. I'm so thankful for it. But you guys will see it next year.
But she had a problem, and her problem is that she'd never started a makeup brand, and starting a makeup brand is extremely complicated. She didn't have a business degree, she never done this before, but what she did have was friends, and she had friends like Jen Gerard and Marlene Estelle from Makeup Geek who had started makeup brands as resources to help her get going and to give her kind of guidelines of what she needed to do in what order. There was a 2015 leaked email to a Makeup Geek employee where Jaclyn shared that she had ordered 300,000 lipstick components. And she was emailing that employee because she wanted advice on distribution and factories and different ways to fill these components that she bought with actual product and sell them. And after that, it was years of Jaclyn talking about the process of getting these lipsticks made. She talked about them quite often. In 2017, she actually said that they were in production, but they were just they weren't coming. It was like, they're coming, but then there was never anything materializing. And then in 2018, she sat down with James Charles for a mukbang, and they ate Church's fried chicken. And in that conversation, I know how ridiculous this sounds, they're sitting down, they're eating chicken, and they're talking about manufacturing cosmetics and having their own brands. And this is what Jaclyn said.
James, are you ever gonna release your own brand? Really? Talk to me about that, because I'm actually genuinely interested in that as well.
Well, I'd actually love to hear where Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics is after the past 5 years of you talking about it, ma'am. For me right now, I just don't see a makeup brand in my future, just in the sense that I'm so focused on everything else. I just don't have the brain capacity to spread myself that thin. And like for me, I'm so hands-on and so picky with everything. I would not be able to devote the time to it that I would want to, and I would never half-ass it. Never.
Good for you.
So maybe in like 5 years from now, once I have like a full team built under me to like do everything, and then that I could like put my soul energy into being the creative director of it, then I would like consider Sisters Cosmetics. But for right now,
Oh my God.
yeah, so good, right? For right now, I just want to stick with like myself, but you never know what I could have coming out.
I'm just gonna say, like, to be completely honest, when it comes to Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics, the reason that it has not launched, and this is hard for me to say, is genuinely because of my perfectionism. I am such a psychopath. It's a whole nother level when it comes to my actual brand. That is my brand, like from beginning to end, because the tiniest thing is gonna fall on my back. Like when you do a collab, there's certain things, a lot of stuff falls on the actual brand's back. When it's your own brand, it is 100% your baby, and if the one tiny thing goes wrong, like it's all on you. It's so much responsibility, and I know that people are like dying for it, and it's every single day, it's all over my social media, and I'm just like, oh, like I'm such a perfectionist that it really scares me. I'm finally getting to the point where I'm like, I just need to launch the products that I have, because I literally have products that have been created and they're ready to be filled and they're ready to go. I'm just like, because I overthink everything. But the first launch is gonna be absolutely incredible, and I cannot wait. Now that I announced my divorce, there's so many people that are like, oh, well, she didn't launch it because of her divorce, and that actually has absolutely nothing to do with it whatsoever. That's okay. I'm just a perfectionist, but it's coming.
Jaclyn's wording to James is actually kind of a clue as to what is going to happen next in this very hairy puzzle, but we'll get to it. We'll get to it, I promise. Because, oh, would there be a lipstick collection? Yes, there would be, and it would make Jaclyn Hill famous for all the wrong reasons. And then finally, on May 22nd of 2019, Jaclyn uploaded her launch video. It was called Introducing Jaclyn Cosmetics, and the official launch date of her very first product was May 30th. And this was not a tiny launch of just a couple of products. Oh no, this was 20 lipsticks, and you could get some of them in packs of 3, and the PR box, the giant PR box, was absolutely gorgeous. And as you opened it, it actually lit up, and there were little diamonds around. I mean, it was just to the nines, a luxury experience opening this box. And this launch video was a true celebration of everything Jaclyn had worked for to start her own brand, her family-owned business that she started from scratch. It was a celebration with her followers of this accomplishment.
I cannot believe that I'm filming this video right now. Like, I have no words. I don't even know how to do a proper intro, so I'm not even gonna try. I cannot believe that I'm filming this video. I'm trying so hard not to cry, because I'm not gonna be that person, even though I am that person. But oh my God, I'm actually filming this video right now. Like, this is my whole life goal. This is my dream. Like, working at the Mac counter, I remember exactly where I was standing. I remember the shoes I was wearing. I remember standing there in the front of Woodfield Mall Mac store holding a lipstick, saying to myself, one day, I want to have a brand of my own. And at the time, I was on food stamps, and there was no brand in mind whatsoever. But that was my first moment of like, oh wow, I really want to do this. Like, I really want to start a line. And here we are. This is 8 years later, and this is my brand reveal video. I had my first meeting with my first lab in 2014. I believe it was in April of 2014. Sat down, said, I've saved $80,000 and I want to start a makeup line, and I want to order hundreds of thousands of units. And they laughed at me. They didn't return my calls. They didn't respond to my emails. And that's when it all started. 2014. So here we are now. It's been a really long time coming, but I just want to say, I know everyone's like, why would it take that long? How does creating something take that long? It's not like I worked on this product and this brand every single day since 2014. No, absolutely not by any means. But there were so many things that failed and went wrong And there were so many little things that went wrong. Little things that really aren't that big of a deal, that people might not even notice, but they're a big deal to me, and they would keep me awake at night because it's my brand and it literally has my name on it. I was encouraged by so many people to change the name of my brand, not put my name on it, call it, blah, 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 by Jaclyn Hill. That way, if I want to sell it, or that way, if a product isn't that good, it's not my name that takes responsibility, right? And I'm just like, no, that's not my journey for my brand. My name is on these products and on every box and the website and the Instagram and the socials for a reason, because these are my products that I am creating. I am putting my heart and soul to. Nothing is ever going to launch or be released that I personally have not worn, tested, and love. Like love more than anything. But yeah, there were some things that happened where I was like, yeah, the general public isn't going to notice these little small faults, but I do, and I'm not launching it. And then there were people that I was working with that I was like, nope, this is not going to work anymore. I can foresee in the future you're not going to be a good fit for me. This is not the right lab for me, whatever it may be. And of course, we had to do tests where we hold the product for months and months and months and see, how does it age? How does it smell? Does it melt? Like, what goes on with that? It just took a long time. And I can say that I am launching a brand that I am so proud to be the owner of. I cannot even begin to tell you. Like, I look at my brand and my future launches and the launch that I'm having on the 30th of this month. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words. And I just cannot believe how privileged I am for this to be my product. Like, I am so proud of myself. And you guys know I'm so hard on myself. I'm such a perfectionist. And I'm honestly so mean to myself that for me to say that, it's such a big deal. Like, I am so proud of my brand. And I wanted to make sure that when I launched, it was not just like a half-ass launch. It wasn't something that's just like, okay, yeah, great. YouTuber just throwing some products at us to make money. Like, I wanted my heart and soul to be in this, and I didn't care how long it took me. And that's why it took me 5 years, my God. And at the end of the day, I just want to create products that even if you don't like me, you love my brand. You trust my brand, you believe in my brand, and you know that no matter what I launch, you're going to be like, that's going to be an amazing product, and I cannot wait to try it. So I could not have a lipstick line without something being dedicated to my mom. So my mom actually created this lipstick. I don't care what it is, you deserve to have something of your own in this line that people know, like, they are buying into a family business when they purchase from Jaclyn Cosmetics. So these lipsticks individually will retail for $18. That's right, $18. I know that so many people have been so worried and so concerned about these products. I've been seeing people saying that they think that they're gonna range between $50 and $65, and I'm like, honey. The idea for my brand is to create luxury products, okay, that are beautiful, amazing, feel awesome in your hands, feel expensive, but for an affordable price. I know that it's not $9, it's not $10, but when you see how amazing this product is and how amazing this packaging is, it is an incredible price. I was encouraged to sell this for $25, $28, and I was like, not gonna happen. You guys have just been a part of this in such a big way, and if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be able to do any of this. I wouldn't have any of this. I wouldn't be able to save my money to make my dreams come true and take care of my family and retire my mom and just do what I love. And I'm very thankful for you guys.
When I tell you launch day was madness, launch day was absolute madness. I myself was also online trying to get lipsticks, and I actually got very lucky. I wanted 2 of the lip sets. They were sets of 3. I was able to get in and get out very quickly. Super easy for me. Unfortunately, it was not that easy for a lot of people. YouTubers and influencers, including Raw Beauty Crusty, Tim Talia, Jamie French, and Samantha Ravindal, were all online talking about how hard it was for them to get the lipsticks. Some of them were getting kicked out of the queue. They were getting really frustrated. But I want to focus on one influencer in particular, and that is Raw Beauty Crusty, because she was venting her frustrations of wanting to get these lipsticks and having trouble getting in. And Jaclyn actually tweeted her and was like, girl, you're on my PR list. And Christy's like, what? What do you mean I'm on your PR list? She's like, yeah, they're coming. She's like, well, Christy had already bought the full set at that point. So she's like, I guess I'm going to just have a whole lot of lipsticks. So one question people were wondering as we were watching this, because this was all happening publicly, was why didn't Christy know she was on PR? Jaclyn didn't tell her she was on PR? Why weren't they getting it ahead of time? Like, what was going on? And Jaclyn actually answered this. She said, just to clear things up, my PR packages were supposed to be delivered to influencers several days before my launch. There was an issue that delayed them till tomorrow. I've been very upset about it, but it won't happen again. Still learning as I go. Overall, in the grand scheme of of things for such a huge launch, it really was pretty smooth. What is widely believed to be the first complaint was a tweet that read, "At Jaclyn, I love and have followed you for years, but I want my money back. One of my lipsticks came broken, paid extra for shipping, and got them after people who didn't pay extra. And then they smell like they're expired, and they leave a film on the lip. So sad." Another person showed a picture on that very same day of how their lipsticks came broken and melted. Melted and broken lipsticks are something that no one should ever receive. It's just not good. But it was about to get a lot worse because people were going to start finding things that had no business being in those lipsticks. About a week after launch, people started posting pictures of lipsticks that looked like they had lumps protruding out of them. Things like hairs poking out of them, or fibers of some kind just looked like it was growing out of the lipsticks. Some of the fibers were white, some of them were dark, some of them were short, and one that was very widely circulated was Brianna Fox's video of her lipstick where she pulled out a very long fiber with a pair of tweezers. One person even claimed to have removed a shard of plastic from her lipstick.
My Jaclyn Cosmetics order in this. I did all of my swatches. The shade is Perfectionist. If I can show you. It's Perfectionist. And I noticed when I just swiped it on my lips that there's something in it. And it's like hard to the touch, and as you can see, I've kind of indented it. I'm trying to get it out. It looks fine, you know, the rest of the stick, but I don't know what that is, and when I try to get it out, it won't come off. Oh, there it goes. What is that? Oh god, how do I get it out without messing it up? Okay, as you can see, I just took a huge chunk out of the stick. Let me see if I can focus it on it. This came out, and it's hard. I'm gonna try and get all like the lipstick off and see. I don't know what that is.
My friend, it does get worse. And I know, especially if you're new to this story, you're like, how in the world could this get worse? Because this is absolutely disgusting. It got worse because people started saying that the lipsticks were actually physically harming them. People were claiming allergic reactions. One person said that the lipstick had actually physically cut her lip. And Raw Beauty Crusty, who had been on Jaclyn's PR list and had purchased her own set of lipsticks, posted up this photo with just the caption, "All I can say is WTF." So WTF, what did happen? Let's talk about it. Like I mentioned in the intro, I want you to leave this video with more information than when you got here. And now, in hindsight, we do have more information about what could have been in the lipsticks. Also, from this point on, it's not about whether there were things in the lipsticks. It's about whether what Jaclyn said was in the lipsticks was actually in the lipsticks. That's what we're going to talk about. When complaints started rolling in about the lipsticks, Jaclyn was immediately on the defense. And honestly, I think that's because of the timing of it. We had just lived through our Dramageddon 1. That was the one that was all about fake friends, right? It was Manny MUA and Laura Lee and Gabriel Zamora and Nikita Dragun and Jeffree Star. That was our Dramageddon 1. And then right before this happened, 12 days before Jaclyn's launch, Tati uploaded her Bye Sister video that set off our Dramageddon 2. And only 4 days before the lipstick launch, James Charles released his rebuttal called No More Lies. And this made national news here in the US. I'm pretty sure it made international news too. It literally changed the way that YouTube allows us to see subscriber count because people were watching the numbers go up and down, and it was madness. So all eyes were on the beauty space. Gossip channels were raking in the money on any mistake that any influencer made. So if Jaclyn messed this up, there was money to be made in making a video about it. So I can totally understand why Jaclyn just didn't believe it at first. The first recorded reaction that Jaclyn had to the lipsticks was also on Twitter, and she had responded to a picture of a lipstick that looked quite lumpy, saying, "You posted swatches 2 days ago loving the lipsticks. Now you're wondering why it's lumpy? It's obvious this lipstick is used and not fresh from factory. Like any other lipstick, if you use it over other products, have dry lips, etc., things like this can happen." Yes, Jaclyn blamed the problems with the lipsticks on the customer's crusty ass lips. Jaclyn would soon learn that it was not the customer's fault. She did not have, in fact, have crusty ass lips. I said, we don't know, but that was not why there was an issue with Jaclyn's lipsticks at all. But Jaclyn's next excuse would be the one that would go down in history and forever linked to her lipsticks, the white fuzzy gloves. Jaclyn tweeted in response to Raw Beauty Christie's post of confusion saying, "If any of you are receiving lipsticks like this, please know that this is not hair. My factory used brand new white gloves to do quality control, and they shed all over my product. We switched to rubber gloves 2 days ago, and we'll make sure this never happens again." And when people saw this explanation, everybody was talking about it. It was everywhere. And everybody was saying, "What do you mean?" Because that's just not a thing. That's not real. We are not done with this getting worse for our Jaclyn Hill. Oh no, because her worst fears were about to come true because influencers were about to start reviewing her products. And I want to highlight 3 creators that did reviews on these products because I feel like those were the ones that got the most traction. We have That Girl Shay XO, Raw Beauty Christie, and Pretty Pastel Please. We're gonna start with Shay, and I'm gonna show you clips from her video because she ripped these lipsticks apart and she did not mince words.
You guys, I bought this with my own money. I want well for Jaclyn. I want to love these because if I can find my ideal nude, like, good, love it. I love supporting fellow creators, so this is nothing personal, and I want nothing but the best from Jaclyn. No, if you're gonna be able to see, this might be so dumb, but I do notice some texture in it. I just took some photos that I will insert over here so you guys can see a little bit better the texture that I mean on the lipstick. It is interesting. I don't know that I've noticed that on other lipsticks before, but you guys, at the same time, I don't know that I've ever been looking for that before. So quite honestly, I'm not sure if that's something that does happen often and I just don't freaking notice it or what the deal is. Oh yeah, now that I see it on camera, I'm actually like noticing more. It could just be air bubbles. I don't know if that's normal. Oh God. If you don't like holes, don't look at these photos. Oh wow, the tip looks crazy. My goodness. The next shade we are doing is As If. Take a look here. Here is As If up close, and I don't notice anything to be concerned with at all with this lipstick. Even down at the base, it looks fine. Oh, I really like this color. I think with a lip liner, I would love this color. It's a little too nude for me, but I do love the tone of it. I see little things popping through. Oh, wow. Y'all, that girl was not lying. She was not. There's things starting to pop through my lipstick. I need to take a picture. Again, I'll insert this into the video. It's like little beads of something. I'm sorry, but this is gonna piss me off. I only noticed one and then I swatched it on my hand and now a few more have popped through. What will really annoy me about this is I feel like Jaclyn kind of came at that girl. And if this is real, which I mean, it's happening to me, Jaclyn should not have attacked her because there's no way this is your makeup brand and you say you've gone through a bunch of these lipsticks already. It's all you've been wearing and that you didn't notice this. There's no way she didn't notice this. And I just think her response was really unfair. If this is like a known issue, there's no way her whole team, her whole family, her friends, her mom, her sister have been using these lipsticks and haven't noticed this, right? This one looks pretty good. Oh, there are like little fibers laying on the top of the lipstick, but I don't know if they just happened to fly onto the lipstick right now as I decapped it. Oh, you know what? Now that I zoom in on my camera, I see little dots again on the lipstick. Little like black bubbles, it looks like. I'm just taking pictures. Scratches are there and I see a few little dots forming. I like the color. Oh my God. It's all, as I'm applying it, it's also melting and sliding to the side and it's like smushing into it. Ah, yeah, there's like too much butter in these, I'm thinking is what it is. I mean, look at that. It's like about to break off. There's no sticker on the bottom of Badass. What is going on here? My problem, A, is that in Jaclyn's video, she swore up and down they did the stability testing, the heating up testings to see if they would melt. They're melting. I don't believe that. Someone is lying here, and I'm sorry, but Jaclyn, this is your brand, this is your name. It's you. I know I'm gonna lose a ton of subscribers right now, and honestly, I don't care, because all I can think about is defending that girl who's being dragged on Twitter for having crusty lips, for not exfoliating. Like, how dare you? If you did do the heat testing, you would have known what happens. It's happening. It just happened to me. You saw it live on camera. It's happening to other people. I have nothing to gain and everything to lose by calling Jaclyn Hill a liar. And I'm calling her a liar.
People were disgusted by what they saw in Shay's video, but she didn't get nearly as much attention as Crusty did for her video. And I think that was for a few reasons, mainly because of how she decided she was going to look at these lipsticks, but also because she had a good rapport with Jaclyn, so much so that Jaclyn sent her PR. So people were absolutely shocked when Crusty went to the furthest degree to try to figure out what exactly was in these lipsticks when she whipped out her microscope.
When I went in to film this video today, I sat down and I said, I think that there's a lot of exaggeration surrounding this launch. I think that people want to find issues with it because it's Jaclyn Hill. I said, I think that people are really going into this whole entire situation with a fine-tooth comb. Probably people just being overly picky on this launch because it is Jaclyn Hill and there have been issues with past launches of hers. And I fully expected to go into this, open up all of the lipsticks and be like, shit's beautiful, shit's perfect. And boy, was I wrong. I'm going to insert some photos of the lipsticks that I'm talking about, and you'll see immediately that I am not exaggerating. And I may be wrong in this, and I probably am, and I hope I am, but I do not know. Jaclyn has been formulating these lipsticks for years. This is no surprise to anyone. If you follow Jaclyn Hill for any length of time, she's made it very obvious and very apparent that she's been working on Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics since like 2014. She's been doing this. And I feel like, and this is again just my theory, but that these are old. And I don't think that it was because she was trying to dupe anyone. I think that what happened, and I'm probably wrong here, and maybe I am, and I probably shouldn't even be sharing this theory online because, again, it could be spreading misinformation, but I'm just gonna give my opinion. And that is the logo. JH on the logo, and her name is Jaclyn Hill. However, she did split from her husband John Hill last year, or maybe the year before, but I do believe it was last year. She has since changed the name of her brand to Jaclyn Cosmetics, but the label on the lipstick still says JH, which leads me to believe that these lipsticks are at least a year old. And I don't want Jaclyn to be embarrassed. I cannot fathom coming out with a product and having it be less than perfect and having the internet widely all over it. And I don't like doing it. I didn't want to film this video. I didn't even want to do this. I wanted to come on and be like, Jaclyn, you did the damn thing. This is going to be an incredibly successful brand. I'm very proud of you. And it's not like I'm not proud of her. She launched her own brand, for crying out loud. To me, it's not even about that. It's all about the principle of it. Definitely think there needs to be a conversation with the manufacturer or the lab or whoever the frick is doing this, because if this were my product and people were like, it's weird, I'm receiving like bubbles and holes and chunks and hairs, I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, get your shit together, lab. What are you doing? Tell me that you wouldn't be pissed as somebody who's worked so long and tried to make everything perfect and who has always had some negativity surrounding previous launches. You definitely wouldn't want more of that. In 2017, Jaclyn did tweet out a photo of a defective lab sample, and in that photo it showed like a holy lipstick and it was like really bothersome, and somebody was like, what the hell brand is this? She's like, oh, it's mine, it's a defective lab sample. And these almost remind me of like a less horrifying version of that defective lab sample. And the shade Badass, which has no sticker on the bottom. This is the shade Decaf, and this is from the purchased collection, so this is not from my PR collection. I'm going to insert a photo of this here and see if it can do it justice to just how horrifying this lipstick looks. I don't even know what to do with this video. Maybe I should go whip out my microscope, and I think I'm going to. So BRB, I'm going to go grab my microscope and I'm going to try, if I can, to see what the hell's going on with some of these products. Oh my God. That is absolutely mortifying. These are all gross. So let's look at a MAC lipstick. unused up close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my microscope again because I got a couple of the little dots of chunk. I got them up out of here and I'm going to look at them underneath a microscope and see what they look like. Microscope ass bitch. All right, let's see what these look like. Huh. What is that? It's a perfect little circle, whatever it is. Let me see if I can smash it. All right, so I smashed it open and that's what it looks like. So that's kind of what you're looking at. Really fucking bothersome. Here are the little beads. I'm gonna pull up the microscope and look at these under the microscope. So you can see one of the little round beads in there. See that? And again, this is the tip. So I wonder if most of these are just sitting on the surface because it doesn't seem like they are all throughout the lipstick. All those little dots that you see are from the tip. So this flame should certainly melt whatever kind of dots those are, correct? If they are some sort of really easy to melt butter. Looks like there's little pockets of oil. What am I seeing there? Air bubbles? Are those air bubbles? So I'm not sure that it is all the way throughout the lipstick, and maybe it is just mostly concentrated into the tip. I'm unsure. I don't want to upload this. I am scared of the backlash. I think people are going to hate me.
I cannot do a video about LipstickGate without talking about Alex from Pretty Pastel Please. Unfortunately, Alex did pass away not too terribly long ago. Beauty reviews were not Alex's big thing, but she became well known in our beauty space for this video, where she went in a full hazmat suit to see what was inside her lipsticks. And it started off as a big joke, but the more that she dug into these lipsticks, the more she was genuinely concerned.
If these lipsticks aren't hairy, can I get a refund? Now I'm sure you're wondering, Alex, why the biohazard suit and the blue rubber gloves? Well, it's simple. I have more common sense than the people that are manufacturing Jaclyn Hill cosmetics. But in all seriousness, there's three main reasons why I'm in today's attire, and that is one, because I have absolutely no idea what is in these lipsticks. You know, some people are saying it's hair, Jaclyn says it's white fibers from fuzzy gloves, some people think it's fungus. Really, there's no way of knowing. Number two is that I saw a lot of comments on other Jaclyn Hill videos from people saying, oh, well, the fibers have come from you. You're contaminating the lipstick. So, you know, I just wanted to remain neutral, make sure that there's no risk of that. And number three, to prove a point. Even the people in Breaking Bad have a cleaner meth lab than where Jaclyn manufactures her lipsticks. My imagination has been running wild for the past 20 days, and I've thought of so many different things that could be awaiting me in this video. Are you seeing that? Look at that. If I sort of turn it in the light like that, you can see all the little bubbles and the imperfections and everything. Can you see the hair on the side there? Wow.
This one look like?
No, don't open it.
Oh, sorry.
No,
oh,
see,
sorry.
No,
oh, God.
No, wait.
Oh, no.
I need to harvest all of the hairs. I'm going to send them to 23andMe. What about this one? Sophia. Oh, this is the one that has the fleck. Look, look, look. Look at that. Look, see how I move it? When I move it, you can see, clear as day, that is reflective. That's definitely metal. Oh, perfect photo. You can see it clear as day. And I'm going to prove that it's metal because here's a magnet. This is just like an everyday fridge magnet. I'm just going to hover. Look, I have a little safety pin just here, just to prove that this is a magnet. Oop, there you go. So see, it's a magnet. I'm going to hover it over this little thing that I suspect to be metal, just here on the end of my fingernail. Look at that. Sticking to it perfectly. There you go. If that's not metal, I mean, I don't know what is. It's sticking to a magnet. Like, what else can I say?
I think one of the reasons why people continue to talk about LipstickGate is because it was a very collective experience. A lot of us watching this were completely and totally nerding out. just trying to figure out, we were all learning about cosmetic manufacturing and how could this happen, and we were all trying to figure out this puzzle, right? Because it seemed like Jaclyn herself was purposely hiding the pieces. Of course, at this point, we all knew something was very wrong, but what we were wondering was, what were these things in the lipsticks and how in the world did they get there? This doesn't make any sense. And that's when experts started chiming in about what they thought was happening. And what all of these videos from these experts boiled down to was an error in quality control, something they knew a lot about. But to be fair to Jaclyn, she did not know a lot about this stuff. She was a beauty influencer with 1 year of college for photography and had worked at a Mac counter and had done collaborations with other brands. She had never had her own brand before. And more than that, she was not in the manufacturing facility running the whole production line. This was not something she was involved in. So I personally believe that Jaclyn had to 100% trust the people that were telling her things when she sat down to film a video that has become infamous in our space, and it is simply called My Lipsticks.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I don't even need to give you an intro. You know why we are here. I want to address some of the issues that my customers are having with my first launch of my brand, Jaclyn Cosmetics, and my lipsticks. I know it's taken me a couple days to get all my ducks in a row and get this video out for you guys, but I've been going through all the documentation and on the phone with labs and chemists and the owner of my lab and my entire team for several days and doing a very in-depth investigation to figure out exactly what's going on so that I can give you the most informed information as a brand owner.
And experts watched this video and they said, that makes absolutely no sense. I want to credit the channel Spill for this next piece, because what the team over at Spill did was they looked at the papers, at the documents that Jaclyn showed in her video, and they were like, something is going on here that just is not adding up, because Jaclyn was saying that these proved that there was quality control happening in the facility. I'm going to play you a clip from Spill's video because they figured out that that wasn't the case.
We did an extensive test on my lipsticks and shipping from here to there and all this jazz. But because of the climate right now, we are shipping to some people who are in such hot temperatures and such high degree that my lipsticks, they're not surviving it fully. My testing actually came out to about 140 degrees Fahrenheit. But once these lipsticks are getting onto trucks that are, 100 degrees on the inside, and then they're sitting outside of people's houses at their front doors, and then they come home and they pull it out, yes, they're not fully melted all the way through, but yeah, they might have little sweat dots on them. When you swatch them, they might kind of lean to the side.
Throughout the video, Jaclyn showed a few documents, the Certificate of Good Manufacturing Practice. It says the manufacturer Jaclyn Cosmetics used to make the lipsticks conforms to the guidelines of good manufacturing practice as defined by the FDA, Health Canada, the Personal Care Products Council, the ISO International Standard 22716, and Cosmetics Europe. The certificate also said the products made for Jaclyn Cosmetics met the international requirements of good manufacturing and product control. But there are a few inconsistencies here as well. The document was dated April 19, 2017. 2 years before the products were manufactured according to the first certificate. As well, the brand was referred to as Jaclyn Cosmetics, but around this time, the company was known as Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics. She changed the name of her brand in March 2019. The third document is another certificate that says the manufacturer complied with the International Standard of Organization's Good Manufacturing Practices. The certificate is valid from August 7, 2017 to August 7, 2020. The final document is from a consulting firm that assessed the safety of the lipsticks. The report was dated May 2019. According to the report, these products are not considered to represent any undue hazard with respect to human health in normal use and under reasonable foreseeable use. All ingredients fall within the safe levels of use. The evaluation of the information available on the ingredients, their chemical structures, and the product does not indicate any significant risk to users.
What's interesting here is that this is an evaluation of the ingredients that were supposed to be in the lipsticks. This document doesn't have anything to do with contamination because the contaminants would not have been evaluated. I feel like this document is completely not even relevant considering that that's not what we're talking about right now. The next person I want to talk about that really explains some things that were going on at the time, and she wasn't even an influencer. She was a biochemist named Kenna. Kenna was a fan of Jaclyn Hill, and she purchased lipsticks from the launch. And by the time she got them in Canada, a lot of the US-based customers had already received their lipsticks and reported problems. So Kenna knew when she got them, she wanted to open them on camera and share with anybody who was watching what they look like fresh out of the package. In the video, Kenna is clearly upset. And I think that that is mostly due to the fact that Kenna was a cosmetic formulator for 6 years before she filmed this video. And she knew that something was really, really wrong here and it bothered her. Even more than being a cosmetic formulator, she was in charge of quality control. This was her area of expertise. And one detail that Kenna really talked about that she explained so well was about the batch codes. On the bottom of every lipstick, there was a batch code and it read GC05A. This is what Kenna had to say about that and why that was a problem.
Okay, so this is the other really weird thing. What I will note is these have the exact same code on the bottom, which that's unheard of. Like if you have 2 different shades, these are 2 different shades. So I have Sophia and then Perfectionist. But the codes are the exact same. The code is GC05A. Now, this is not possible because if you make a product that has different ingredients, different amounts of the pigment in it, that's a different batch. That deserves a different batch code and it should be tracked differently because when something goes wrong, such as in this case, you need to be able to recall that product and chances are it wasn't the entire line. It should just be that one shade that was potentially contaminated, that one batch. And that's why batch traceability is so important, so that if anything does go wrong and there's contamination, which happens all the time in cosmetics and personal care products, then you can recall that batch, but just that one batch, and you don't have to recall your entire line. It's logical. This is how we operate in this industry.
All of them could have been contaminated. And because of this, even if your lipsticks look like they were absolutely fine, there was no way to know for sure if they were safe. Spill also mentioned this when talking about the documents that Jaclyn showed in the video.
The first document is a certificate laboratory analysis for the shade Batgirl. It showed various test data, including a swatch test, smell test, and visual test. And it had a batch code that is different from the production code on all the shades. The lot number also doesn't match the production code. The document showed a manufacture date of May 15th, 2019, and an expiration date of May 15th, 2021.
Like Spill showed, Jaclyn shows all of these documents that are very, very difficult to read at that size. And even if you do screenshot them and make them bigger, they're very hard to understand for the average person. They're very technical. And I don't believe that these forms were put in there to inform. They were meant to give another layer of credibility to Jaclyn. There are a lot of things that have bothered me about this situation. And one of the things that stays with me is the way that some of Jaclyn's fans responded to this. There was a distinct distinct group of people that did not care if their lipsticks were contaminated. They were actively saying, oh, if I see something, I'll just pick it off. Or mine look fine, I'll just continue to use them. And that's something that I never got. It kind of reminds me of like the 5-second rule when you drop something on the floor, and if it's only on the floor less than 5 seconds, you can just pick it up and eat it. Like, that's what it reminds me of. There is one more creator I wanted to mention, and it's esthetician Cassandra Bankson. While Kenna focused mostly on the mold and bacteria accusations, Cassandra really honed in on the fibers or hairs or whatever those things were that were sticking out of the bullets. Were they fibers from white gloves? And if they were fibers from white gloves, why were some of them clearly not white? So she pulled out her own microscope and put some of those fibers underneath and made 3 videos about the topic. I'm going to play you some clips now, give you a quick summary.
Dogs and cats have been found inside of the cosmetic manufacturer's facility that Jaclyn Hill used to create her cosmetics, allegedly. There's some new information that came up, and I'm going to try to post that here, as well as explain kind of what's going on that I believe ties into what I found on the Jaclyn Hill lipsticks. So as you know, I found hairs, again, 99.9% positive they're animal. The only 0.1% that I am not positive is because I don't want to be sued. Identified Oxygen Labs or Oxygen Development inside of Florida as the potential or the alleged manufacturer of Jaclyn Hill cosmetics. There is a Twitter account that I found some information on, as well as some of my own research that I did from my mobile phone, and there were dogs found in this facility. An employee who was working at the facility posted when a dog got in, and you can look at these people's attire and their workspace and confirm that this is the same facility. And on top of that, someone posted a picture with no details about a cat in a cage, and they tagged Oxygen Labs as the location it was taken, and this person happened to be an employee of Oxygen Development. And again, I'm using the terms development and lab and manufacturer very loosely here, the way Jaclyn did. If you actually get into the business of beauty, those things are very, very different, which we talk about in the long video that my computer is crapping out on. There have been some complaints from the FDA. Again, the Food and Drug Administration investigated in, I believe it was 2011 or 2012. I again found this off of a Twitter account, and then I went to the FDA government website to confirm this. And it looks like there were some issues about this specific development place not meeting quality control. On top of that, when we look at this lab, some people might say, or this manufacturing warehouse, some people might say, how do you know that's Jaclyn Hill's? Good question. Again, the Twitter account that I found some of this information on stated and actually drew circles from Jaclyn Hill's original marketing video and compared it to the labs inside of Oxygen Development, the photos taken inside of that facility. And if we do compare them, they look to be the same location. I found what I believe to be rat hairs on these cosmetics. Some of them kind of looked like mink. I have contacted so many veterinarians, and guess what? I didn't know that as part of veterinary training, veterinarians are not expected to know what hairs or fibers from animals look like on a microscopic level. Again, I've studied human skin, I've studied human hair, I don't know much about animal hair. I can't identify this as an animal hair because it has a medulla and the cortex is different. The structures of the hair, again, pictures of what I found, and then I'm comparing the photos of what I found to Google. But I've realized that what I need is someone who specializes in animal hair, potentially someone in forensics. I've reached out to some people who study actual hair, like balding in humans as well, trichology and hair stuff. And they don't know animal stuff, they only know human hair. And out of the people that I've contacted, everyone is afraid of being sued, just like me, because of what has happened so far.
What makes me so sad about this is unfortunately we never got full answers from Cassandra. She left off with a promise of an update, and apparently she had an issue with her computer and she lost all of her research, and I guess she just decided it wasn't worth redoing, so she said she was going to upload it and then she never did. Even though Cassandra never proved officially what it actually was that she was looking at under her microscope, what she did do was she changed the conversation and she added more information, and that information led us to believe that whatever Cassandra was looking at did not match what Jaclyn had said about the white fuzzy gloves. We did, however, get a conclusion from Kenna. I'll play what she found out.
So this testing cost me a total of $406.80 Canadian. It's about like $100 per test because I did 4 different sample sizes for the microbial testing. All right, so now let's get into the juicy bits, which is the actual report results. Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics sample number 1. Now this was opened lipsticks that I opened and another customer opened, did not use, and then were tested. But again, same thing. We've got less than 10 colony forming units per gram for the total plate count and for yeast and mold, and completely negative for E. coli, Staphylococcus, Salmonella, and Pseudomonas. And for the last Jaclyn Hill sample, again, total plate count, yeast and mold, less than 10 colony forming units per gram. E. coli, Staph, Salmonella, and Pseudomonas are all negative. So what does this mean? Well, it means that all of these samples are negative for microbial contamination as far as all of the tests that I did. But is the product contaminated? Well, I think that we all visually saw from all the, the microscope videos, all of the close-up videos. Yes, this product is contaminated. If you can see something in a product, it is definitely contaminated. But my biggest concern was for human health and safety and the things that you maybe can't see. So from my reports, there is no microbial contamination in these products, but that doesn't mean that they're not contaminated with something else, because we all saw that they are. But from my accounts, there is actually no microbial contamination in both of the samples that I sent in for testing with the Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics lipsticks.
So of course, now we've got these experts that are really not coming to any solid conclusions that make us know what the heck is in these lipsticks. What was it? What are these things? People just gave up and moved on. But we're not doing that today, my friend. Oh no, we are not doing that today. Today, we are actually going to get to the bottom of this. Are you ready? Because I have a lot to share with you. So what I want to do right now is I want to go through the individual issues with the lipsticks. And what I've done is I have scoured research articles and manufacturing websites and learned a lot about the ingredients that were within Jaclyn's lipsticks. I've also talked to professionals, and I've looked at the videos that were uploaded from professionals from back then, and I've kind of synthesized everything to give us a picture of what the issues with the lipsticks probably were. And we're going to start with the black holes.
All right, so the first thing I want to touch base on are the little black dots or black holes that you guys are seeing. What these black dots are actually oxygen bubbles, and they are being lifted to the surface when my lipstick bullet is being cooled off, when it's going from a hot temperature, fresh out of the vat, and it's gonna go into my actual component and just be cooled down so that the component cap can be put on top. In that process, sometimes those oxygen bubbles don't make it all the way through, and you'll see little itty bitty, almost like black like holes. It's not actually like black holes. Again, it's not mold, it is oxygen, and it is 100% safe. It is not gonna hurt you, but seeing those dots are not pretty, and they're not like, you don't look at that component, you don't look at that lipstick and think like, oh yeah, I want to put this on my lips.
Jaclyn says these are air bubbles that are cooling as they rise to the top of the bullet. And yes, this can really happen. And it especially happens with larger vats. I mean, if you've ever made anything, made a cake or brownies or anything, you know that as you stir, air does get in. The manufacturing facilities are used to dealing with this because it's part of the production process. They do something called degassing. When the lipstick formula is hot, they apply a vacuum pressure, and then they slowly let that pressure out. And as that happens, the lipstick is still hot and the air bubbles rise to the top and pop. But because the formula is still liquid, it just kind of fills the space. But if it's not done properly, if it's cooled too fast, then those bubbles don't have time to escape before the lipstick solidifies, leaving those little black holes. Those were not filled with anything. They were legitimately holes. And I personally believe that those holes were there because the factory didn't degas the product properly. Manufacturing facilities are used to seeing things like this. There should be somebody walking across the factory floor and periodically checking lipsticks as they're being made. And if they saw something like this, typically what they would do is they would just remelt the lipsticks and form them over again. Supposedly is a very easy process to fix, but it was missed at this particular factory.
The second thing I want to touch on is the texture and the grittiness that you guys are seeing in your lipsticks. Now, although this is not happening to everybody, it's still happening. And basically what this is caused from is the humongous vats. It's almost like, I always want to use the word beaker, but it's not like a beaker or smaller. It's like these gigantic, huge vats that are in labs.
It's like this gigantic thing that holds all of your lipstick, and it like spins like this and mixes everything up. That vat is not breaking down all of my raw materials because we produce so many lipsticks so quickly. Again, all of the products in these vats are 100% FDA approved ingredients and totally good and safe for you to use, but they're not being broken down small enough and smoothly enough, which I take full responsibility for. We made a lot of product in a very short amount of time, and although we all thought that it was gonna be perfect and fresh, that's not the case. We moved too quickly, and because of that, the ingredients are not broken down. I will say this, you're still gonna get the same effect on your lips. They're still gonna give you a nice creamy formulation. It's still gonna look beautiful once it's applied, but it's not pretty to look at. And when you apply it, sometimes you can feel like a little bit of that texture and that grittiness, and that is so not okay. And I want to make that right for you.
Jaclyn says that the reason why the grittiness is there is because the vats were too large and they didn't break down the materials properly just because the vats were so big. Now, logically, this doesn't make any sense because you think about Jaclyn this is her first launch. It's a small brand. It's a family-owned business. There are huge companies that make lipsticks, vats, giant vats of lipsticks. Think these major conglomerate companies mass produce that have big vats. And this doesn't happen to them. So why did it happen to Jaclyn? Again, I believe it was the quickly part because manufacturing facilities are trained to find these problems. They know that the lips are very, very sensitive and our lips can feel things that maybe other parts of our body wouldn't be able to feel. So especially in lipsticks, they want to make sure that they're smooth. It is just their job. It is normal in a manufacturing facility for, again, that person that's checking production to pull the lipstick off of the conveyor belt, to take the lipstick off and to smash it onto a plate to see if there's any grittiness, to check the texture. It seems like this did not happen. And what I learned in preparation for this video is this is not a mystery thing that never happens. This does happen sometimes, but the factory, it's their responsibility to catch it and fix the problem before we as customers find out about it. The one contaminant though that really has always stumped me was the little ball that Raw Beauty Crusty pulled out of her lipstick. It was a little perfectly spherical ball, and when she broke it open, it was hollow. And I remember people talking about that maybe that was the mango butter, right? And maybe it just hadn't melted properly. But mango butter wouldn't have been hollow. It would have been a little mushy ball of butter, right? And why was it hollow? Well, I think I figured out what that might have been. So if we are going with the theory that the lipsticks were not degassed properly, so we're talking about that there's actual bubbles inside the bullet as the bullet is drying too quickly. Well, it's possible that the wax from the lipstick formula formed around one of these bubbles and created that hard ball. And that is what that ball was that Crusty pulled out of her lipstick. That is just a theory, but that's the one out of all these years I've been talking about LipstickGate and I've looked at this, that's the one that makes the most sense to me.
Every single ingredient in my lipstick is new and it is FDA approved. And again, I will give you proof right here. If you guys want to look over these documents in depth and tear them apart, you go right ahead and see that they are not contaminated. Every single ingredient is FDA approved and they are not expired. I want to ease your minds with that before even getting into all the nitty gritty stuff of this video so that you're not sitting here thinking like, oh my gosh, is it true that if I use this lipstick that it's gonna hurt me in some way? No, that is not the case. And now you guys have seen that, so let's move forward.
I don't know who in the world told Jaclyn Hill that the FDA approved her ingredients because that is not a thing. It's just not. The US FDA does not approve ingredients except for pigments. That's the only thing they approve. And they do not go in someplace and say, okay, this product is checked off, you can now put it on shelves. That literally just does not happen. So when she says the ingredients are all FDA approved, that's not real. But here's the thing that was really smart about it, because people didn't have an issue with the ingredients of the lipstick. Nobody had an issue with that. People had an issue with the things that were in the lipsticks that were not on the ingredient list. But by saying that the ingredient list was FDA approved, it gives credibility.
My lipsticks are not moldy. They are not hazardous. They are not contaminated. They are not unsafe for you in any way, shape, or form. My lipsticks did not go into mass production until the same month that I actually launched my brand. It was only a couple weeks prior to my launch that we started actual mass production. Although I had been so in depth with my formulation, my colors, and approving all of that, mass production did not go into production until right before my launch because we wanted them to be fresh. We didn't want them to sit on shelves. And because my brand has been pushed back so many times, I actually already went through the same situation with a different lab several years ago. I went into mass production, ended up having an issue while in mass production, and then didn't launch my brand and had to go to a whole new lab because I didn't want those issues to happen again. So I canceled them and went somewhere else. I tried to cover my tracks. I f***ed up, but they are not expired.
Regarding the mold, yes, mold can happen in something that has been sitting around for a long time, but mold can actually happen even before the final product is manufactured. If you get an ingredient that is already moldy or contaminated with mold because your supplier sucks, then it could contaminate your product with mold without the product itself being old. And the language she uses, that word fresh, just because something is fresh doesn't mean that it doesn't have mold or bacteria or contaminants.
Next, let's talk about the white fuzzies. This is the thing that gets me going. So when I first heard the definition and the reason for these white fuzzies on some of these lipsticks, I 100% did not believe it. I got very upset and I was like, why are you lying to me? Why are you trying to treat me like I'm an idiot? This is ridiculous. Like, I need a better explanation. But after thorough investigation, we know what the actual issue is. And I know that a lot of you guys are gonna have a hard time believing this because I did as well. This is the truth. Because my lipstick component is a silver, shiny, almost metal-like material, my lab, instead of using a standard glove that they would use in the lab, they decided to use white cotton gloves. They're like fluffy white gloves because they didn't want the standard gloves to put any smears on this component, to in any way have any sort of prints on it. So they wanted to do a white fluffy glove. First, when I heard this, I thought, but wait, how are a couple people wearing white fluffy gloves gonna put this many fluffy white little fuzzies all over my product? That doesn't make sense, right? Well, then once I started seeing videos and I started seeing proof, and then my team actually did our own investigation, it actually made a lot more sense in my mind, and I'll tell you guys exactly what that is. We have several people, up to 20 people, working on my lipsticks on the line every single day as they are being produced, and every single one of those people are wearing white gloves. When I tell you guys how many times a day they have to change gloves and put on new ones, it's crazy. Every time they need to take a call, they have to step off the floor, off the line, out of the production area, they have to take off their gloves, and they have to get brand new ones when they walk back in. They have to take off their hair nets, they have to take off their beard nets, they have to replace everything once they come back in. They don't get to walk out, go to the bathroom, put on the same gloves, and come back in. So when you think about 15, 20 people working on a line, all replacing their gloves every 30 minutes, 45 minutes, hour and a half, it's a lot of brand new, freshly white gloves coming in to that region that is spreading lint all over the product. Not acceptable at all. And the second we saw this, we changed to different gloves that will not be giving you this issue whatsoever. On top of that, they were cleaning my vats, which is the big, humongous bucket that has my batches inside of it. They were cleaning those vats with like this white fiber, almost towel going through it. And that's been happening about once a day, they said, to sometimes twice a day, depending how quickly we're moving through batches. So those two things combined, that is what you are experiencing, are little white cotton fibers coming off of their gloves. And it is so beyond unacceptable, and I am so sorry this happened to you guys.
Outright, I don't know anybody that believed the white fuzzy story. I do want to show you Kenna's thoughts on that.
The other thing I want to touch on is the whole white glove aspect. There is no lab in the United States that has an over-the-counter drug manufacturing license that would ever bring cotton gloves into their facility. It is a health hazard, it's an issue. Cotton is easily contaminated. It's also not impermeable, meaning that it allows anything to go through it. So you would never use that on a production floor. Potentially it could be used during the boxing process, but those areas are completely separated and there's no chance of cross-contamination in an over-the-counter drug manufacturing facility. Like it's just not possible. The other thing that she mentioned in her video was that they used a towel, a cotton towel, to clean out the vats and the tanks that actually held the lipstick when it was being manufactured and pumped into the lipstick tubes. This doesn't happen. They don't use fabric, they don't use cloth to clean anything in those types of facilities. They use boiling hot water followed by 100% ethanol, which completely cleans out and eliminates all chance of bacteria. They would never introduce anything like cotton into that space. It's huge risk of contamination. It would never happen. Not possible. There's just no way.
Full stop. Like Kenna said, white cotton fuzzy gloves should never be in a manufacturing facility like this, ever. And I don't think it would take someone that knows a lot about this stuff to recognize that. I think any of us on day one in a manufacturing facility would know that that's probably not a good idea. But this is what Jaclyn was claiming. She was claiming that because her bullets were shiny, people were using the white fuzzy gloves as not to leave fingerprints on her components. But that didn't make sense because the white fuzzies were not on the outside of the component, they were on the inside. So let's benefit the doubt. Let's say maybe they were touching the inside of the already filled lipstick with white fuzzy gloves. Why would they do that? And it doesn't make any sense. And also considering the fact that Jaclyn showed herself in the factory with one of her lipsticks and she's wearing nitrile gloves, handling her lipstick. Why would they give her those gloves if everybody was using white fuzzy gloves and they didn't switch to the nitrile until after they were already shipped? It doesn't make any sense. And I know you know this. And that still doesn't explain why they were embedded within the lipstick, why they were of different colors and different sizes. Jaclyn is essentially saying here that you don't see what I'm telling you what you see. You don't actually see what you think you see. I'm going to tell you what you actually see. But what we can assume is that what she's saying about having white fuzzy gloves and frequent glove changes, that would be a contamination concern. Jaclyn talking about the other contaminants within the lipstick actually makes my stomach turn, but I do think it's an important part of the story, so I want to play it for you.
But let me just say this. It is not harmful for you. This is not in any way harmful. It's just little white cotton fuzzies that come from a very sterile environment. Still not okay. But I just want to let you guys know that if it doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother you. Like, I've had several people contact me. They're like, oh, I don't care. I just wiped it off and used it. And I'm like, that's fine, but still, it's not perfect and it's not what I want for my product. So contact Jaclyn Cosmetics and we will figure it out and we'll make it right.
The fact that Jaclyn passes off literal contamination as if it doesn't bother you, they're fine, I feel like that's not only gross, but it's unsafe. I feel like it was irresponsible to say that. Because how does Jaclyn know? She doesn't know what these things are within the lipsticks. How does she know that they're safe? And to basically guarantee that to people that are using them, oh, if it doesn't bother you, just keep using them. I felt like that was really, really risky, especially for people that are immunocompromised, that maybe are more sensitive to things like mold and bacteria. Then Jaclyn talks about the melting issue.
Even though you guys are seeing a lot of stuff all over social media, like when I log on to social media, I'm just like, oh my God. But from the back end of my brand and actually looking at emails, the biggest issue and the biggest complaint is actually the melting issue. It's actually 80% of our complaints is melting. And I know it's crazy, right? You would think that like the grittiness and all that other stuff, but no, all the other stuff is only 20%, which is insane because social media is so loud and out there. And it looks like it's so aggressive and so terrible. About the melting situation, which is about 80% of complaints, like I said. People are receiving some lipsticks in the mail and then they pull them out, they twist them up, they swatch them, they break. They break in the center. If you twist them up all the way, they'll break at the base, which is pretty standard even if you don't have a melted lipstick. If you roll all the way up and you swatch it, chances are if it's an emollient based lipstick, it's going to break at the base. So make sure that when you use your lipsticks, you do not roll up fully all the way when you are using it. Just a side note. But what people are experiencing is it's showing up in the mail and it's almost having like a little sweat mark, like a little like circular sweat mark or like little like sweat dots. And then when you swatch it, the lipstick kind of leans to the side and then it's got like a little line on it because it's a very creamy, very emollient based product. So you really have to make sure that it's fully cooled down before using it. We did an extensive test on my lipsticks and shipping from here to there and all this jazz. But because of the climate right now, we are shipping to some people who are in such hot temperatures and such high degree that my lipsticks, they're not surviving it fully. Please give your lipsticks enough time to fully cool off before you go in and apply it.
First, she blames customers for not knowing how to use lipstick. Literally no one is rolling a lipstick all the way up and then using it. Nobody uses lipstick like that. It's not, no. Then after that, she talks about the sweating. From what I'm reading, this actually isn't all that uncommon. I mean, it probably shouldn't happen, but it's not dangerous. And it's really just a problem with, again, the bullet not cooling properly. Think of it almost like a grid, the way that the lipstick forms. And if it doesn't form properly, then oil can seep through this grid. From what I'm reading, if the lipstick from the jump isn't cooled properly, it can become unstable. vehicle. And then it goes from the cool warehouse to a truck that's very hot. And then maybe it goes from the hot truck to a distribution center that's very cool. And then it goes from the distribution center that's cool to another hot truck, and then to a post office, and then to someone's porch, and then back in their house. And all of these places have different temperatures that could lead to melting and more instability. But if that lipstick didn't form properly to begin with, it's going to be more sensitive to those temperature changes. And what was so ridiculous was that Jaclyn was like, just make sure they're cool before you use them. They should be fine. But that's literally not how this works. As all of this was going down, it was impossible to ignore the fact that what Jaclyn was saying in her video was not lining up with what professionals were saying actually happens within manufacturing facilities. Nothing that they were finding out was backing up Jaclyn's claims. In fact, it contradicted them. And honestly, I really do believe this in my heart. I believe that Jaclyn genuinely wanted to make this right with customers.
In the future, even if you choose not to be a Jaclyn Cosmetics customer, even if you lose trust in me, that's okay. Like, I understand. I promise you guys all around the board perfect products, and not all of them were all around the board perfect products. So I get it. But I'm going to work very hard, and I'm going to work very diligently to make sure that within the next couple of months, within the next year, you're going to look at my brand and be like, oh, wow, this actually is good. Like, she actually corrected her error and she learned from her mistakes, because it's exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm so sorry for anyone who received anything less than perfect. I take full responsibility. This is my brand with my name on it and my team that I've created. And I am so sorry that you've received something that is not exactly how I described it to you. So that's it. I love you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for understanding.
Remember, she had worked for years for this moment. This was her brand she had been thinking about. And I genuinely believe that part to be true, that she wanted this for a really long time. She had been talking about it publicly for a long time. The day was finally here. And I do think that Jaclyn wanted to make it right. But the narrative was quickly compounding beyond the issues with the lipstick into questioning Jaclyn's character itself. The accident had happened, and in trying to mend the wound, she just made things worse. Her brand was bleeding out, and she was wholly unprepared to save it. But she wasn't done yet. Here's what happened next. Jaclyn Cosmetics refunded all of the orders, even people that didn't request a refund. I'm gonna go ahead and show you my refund that was processed. I did not request it, it just showed up in my inbox. This process was started a little less than 3 weeks after the launch and only 6 days after the My Lipsticks video went live. Though Jaclyn herself didn't give any more details on the problems with the lipsticks, her website did. I'm gonna put up a screenshot that I took at the time of the customer service website, and I'm gonna read a bit of it to you. It says, why did it take Jaclyn Cosmetics so long to decide to issue a refund? And the response is, over the past few weeks, customers have brought forward a number of quality issues with regard to our So Rich lipsticks. We've taken this feedback very seriously and have been conducting a thorough investigation of each issue brought to our attention. We've also taken time to perform extensive additional third-party testing on the product to ensure we're giving you the most accurate information possible. We've determined that the quality of more than enough of our So Rich lipstick production did not meet the standards we aim to achieve. As such, we will be issuing a full refund, including shipping charges, to anyone who purchased the product. Next question, why are you not recalling the lipsticks? They say, after a thorough investigation and extensive third-party testing, several labs and safety assessors have confirmed that while a fraction of our lipsticks did not meet our brand standards of quality, they are in full compliance with FDA regulation and safe to use. I always side-eyed that. It's like, really? Blech. They also put out this information in a press statement. It read, while we stand strongly by the safety of Jaclyn Cosmetics products, we know that our customers deserve better. We have halted production until we've identified and resolved all quality issues. We ask any customers who have received product with quality concerns to visit our FAQ or contact us. So we got our money back, but they weren't pulling the lipsticks from circulation, and in that, they weren't admitting that the lipsticks were in any way harmful. And after that, Jaclyn herself disappeared. She stopped posting on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. She just Peaced out. And honestly, I do not blame her. If I were her, I would have done the exact same thing. She really did need to step away and let things cool down for a little bit, but she did return, and I was actually surprised looking back at this. I thought it was longer. It was actually only about a month later that she came back. On July 23rd of 2019, Jaclyn uploaded a video titled Where I've Been, and it opened with a quote from none other than Nirvana's Kurt Cobain.
I just wanted to get on here and talk to you guys and just wait for the moment where I felt like I had the strength to get on camera and really talk to you guys in a way where I was a little bit more level-headed and together about why I did that, what's going on in my personal life. I know that there are a ton of questions, speculations, rumors, all of that. And I just wanted to get on here and just have some open communication with you. So I just want to start off by saying this video might be the biggest mistake of my entire career, but that's okay. As Kurt Cobain said, I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not.
If you do not remember this video, there's probably good reason for it, and that's because not a lot happens in it. It's 19 minutes long. The first 8 minutes, according to my notes, were all about her fear of crying on camera, of being seen as playing the victim, and how deeply supported she felt by people who reached out to her privately.
What's important to understand about this video is that it was not made to explain what happened with the launch. It was made to repair Jaclyn's relationship with her subscribers, and I want to play you just the clips where she talks specifically about the lipsticks.
I was working with the best lab, with the best people. I had spent all this money. I was just like, this is amazing. Like, I was so confident to the point of cockiness. There's so many rumors out there, which I'm honestly, guys, I'm not going to address them. Like, I'm not here for that, because if I start to address the rumors, I would be making a video that's 2 hours long. I'm not going to do that. I know that so many people have speculations. I did not have a quality control team big enough to handle what I was doing at all, and I totally messed up. And the fact that I had to mess up and show my ass in front of millions of people who love me and trust me sucks. But still, that's not why I went black and deleted my accounts. It's not because I was embarrassed. We'll get to that in a minute. That's not at all the reasoning. But I just have to say I'm sorry. It's so important to me that you guys know how sorry I am and how embarrassed I am. Like, this has just been shocking. It's been shocking. I messed up in more than one way. I was way too overconfident in my launch, and I was not enough involved in quality control, and I overhyped it for you guys for what ended up happening. I trusted the wrong people. I did a lot of things that I should not have done, and I just feel terrible for anybody who received a lipstick that wasn't perfect. That's why I gave every single person a refund, and people were so sweet, not wanting to accept the refund and giving their refunds to charities and just doing such kind things. It was so sweet, but I just, honestly, I could not sleep at night. I could not sleep. Just seeing what I was seeing online, I was just so disturbed. But the reason I had to get away from social media and just fully delete it is because at that point, I had refunded everybody every single penny they had spent. I was humiliated. I was embarrassed. And it was time for me to start picking things up and putting the pieces back together and rebuilding. You know, as a CEO, as a boss, as an owner of a brand, you don't get to just sit back and be like, wah! Like, you have to start rebuilding, right? Everybody wants to be the boss. My whole life, I always wanted to be the boss. I was just like, oh my God, can you imagine like being the boss, like being a manager? And like, once it actually happens, you're just like, okay, this is not what I wanted. You know, it's like, it's a lot. It's more than what you think. It's not like wearing Christian Louboutin heels every single day and Valentino marching to the office just being like, yes, I run. It's a lot. It's aggressive, and I definitely was not prepared, and I definitely was very ignorant in this entire process of thinking what it would actually be. My first launch was a freaking failure, but I have got to move on. I have to find out what happened, how it happened. I have to fire, I have to hire, I have to rebuild, I have to restructure, I have to move forward. So that's what I did. I've had several meetings, gotten together with my team, been working on new products, working on new labs. Thank you, God, that a launch that I have down the road is with a completely different lab than the one that I launched my lipsticks with, so we have not had to cancel that. But because of what happened, I do not trust that lab. I have pulled every single product with them that I'm creating, which stinks because my pipeline was just looking so incredible. I was supposed to have a launch about every 6 to 8 weeks for the rest of the year, and all of the production samples were so beautiful, and it just stinks because now we have to completely redo that with different labs. That's where I'm going forward with this, just so you guys know, just a little insight. You know, I'm not gonna give you every little nitty-gritty detail, but I'm still gonna give you insight on what's going on just so you're aware.
Then she spends the rest of the video talking about the emotional impact that the launch had on her health and her well-being, and that she's learning and growing from the situation. And then she talks about the break that she took for a month and why she took her break and how she's not gonna be giving up.
Would you have some sort of conflict with someone that you love, with a friend, and then just let it blow over and just let them forget about it? Is that a good friend? I don't think so. I love these people. I love you guys, and I value the friendship that I have built with you.
And one thing that I will absolutely give her credit for is I do appreciate her apology to the original person who explained. She took accountability for that.
And also, before I leave, I just have to say one more thing, and that is a public apology to the first girl on Twitter who posted a photo of her defective lipstick saying that it was lumpy and questioning it. And my response, although I didn't mean for it to be at all catty whatsoever, I still did not respond the way a brand owner should. I need a little time to get used to being a brand owner. It's definitely a different world for me. I try to be polite and try to be nice, but still sometimes I'm just like not the way I should be, and I'm out of line. And I was out of line, and I reached out to her directly and apologized to her, and she was very sweet for accepting my apology. But still, just publicly, I want to say that that wasn't cool for me to not sit back, wait, see if anything else happened, do investigation. I should have DM'd her privately and had a conversation. I should not have done that. And so for that, I am very sorry, and will definitely be more mindful of that in the future.
The point of it, in my opinion, was to repair the parasocial relationship, because that parasocial relationship is what pays Jaclyn's bills. It's what keeps people watching her videos and what keeps people buying products that she recommends, including products from brands that she works with and Jaclyn Cosmetics. Jaclyn very effectively humanized the lipstick launch. Instead of science and data, it was all about her and her feelings and her emotions and what the launch was doing to her. And in that, anybody who criticized what happened wasn't criticizing Jaclyn Cosmetics, they were criticizing her personally. And that was very smart. Jaclyn knew her audience well. Because if somebody dared to come on after these apologies and say they had an issue with the lipsticks and wonder genuinely what happened with them, it was then a personal attack against Jaclyn. It was an attack against her character, not a question about, so what was it, Jaclyn? Like, what actually was it? Her fans would jump rabidly. When I say rabidly, like they would attack anybody that dared to ask just the basic science questions, because she had effectively flipped it to becoming personal. That's not to say there weren't still people criticizing Jaclyn. This particular video has over 50,000 comments, and the top comments are all critical of the choices that she has made. Popular comments included me trying to drag on my 19-minute presentation when it's really 2 minutes long, and when your boss calls a meeting that could have been an email. Each of those had 3,000 likes each. There's also one that received almost 5,000 likes, and this one says, Jaclyn has reached the word count, but has not addressed the essay prompt. And we would soon learn that this is the most explanation we would ever get out of Jaclyn for a very long time. That is until bankruptcy documents revealed a whole lot more. But we're not quite there yet. We'll get there though. By Halloween, Jaclyn had been canceled, and she was handling everything a lot differently. She had a full Halloween party with the theme, Jaclyn Hill is canceled. It was so much the theme that she had Jaclyn Hill is canceled on her physical dress.
Your Snapchat filter got approved.
It did?
Yeah, it's gonna come tomorrow.
It needs to be sassy though. What if it says like in the top corner, Jaclyn is canceled?
Damn!
Okay. Okay.
Attitude, I'll f*** you too. Bang roll on, buddy. What it do, boo? Yes. If I ain't did it yet, I'll try.
Back again. Make that stack the M's. Told him it's push shaky back the M.
Yeah, she wanna ride me like a rodeo.
It was so good to see so many influencers who, some of which I've never met, some of which I haven't seen in years, just to hang out with everybody. It was so different and so much fun. And I just love my costume. Brian Hearns f***ing slayed that look so hard, and Nicole with the makeup and Jesus with the hair. It was so good. I just loved it. I love just poking fun of myself and being canceled. It's great.
What is so interesting about this video in the beauty community timeline is the appearance of James Charles, because remember, No More Lies was uploaded 6 days before the lipstick launch. So James was effectively being canceled around the same time. So the fact that he was there was kind of a kismet situation. It was kind of perfect, actually.
Welcome to the Jaclyn Hill Halloween party. Honey, we're here in LA. I know you're used to Tampa, Florida, baby, but we're here. Let me take you on a little secret something. I know she's canceled, but baby, we're still here. I was actually gonna come as a lipstick with hair out of it, but you know. Jaclyn?
Yes, Nikki, how can I help you? Oh my God, James Charles! What are you doing? I thought you were canceled.
I'm also canceled. This is the
What happened?
This is
James.
the cancel closet. Yes.
James, take this goodie bag. Okay, cut that shit up. Out of here.
It's always on, Nikki. It's always on.
Get the f*** out. Get out.
The whole party was centered around Jaclyn just not taking herself seriously and making a whole lighthearted joke about it. And that split people into two very clear camps. People who were like, yes, Jaclyn, go. Like, don't let the haters get you down. And people that were like, how are you taking contamination this unseriously? As for Jaclyn Cosmetics themselves, they did release more products after this, a lot more products, starting with highlighters, which was really smart because Jaclyn was known for her highlighters and for her collaboration on Champagne Pop with Becca Cosmetics. And after a while, Jaclyn decided that she was, in fact, going to release lip products.
A lot of people say that when one door closes, another one opens. And I disagree, because sometimes you have to break that door down. This is the most anticipated, exciting, and nerve-wracking thing I think I've ever done, because I'm coming out with lip products. This collection is so much more than makeup. I have realized that with everything that I have been given in life, how important it is for me to be a role model to so many different people. To the young girls out there who are different, who don't fit in, who are bullied, who have a big dream and feel like no one encourages them, you can be whatever you want to be. Even if a million people tell you no, it doesn't matter. It is up to you. You are the only one in control of your life and your destiny. Even when I look at my nieces, I just have no choice but to stand up, to rise up, and be the best that I can be for them. And that's exactly what this collection represents. So I say, own your mistakes, own who you are, and be outspoken.
But then something unexpected happened, and this thing was completely and totally out of Jaclyn's control. It wasn't revealed through drama channels or through Jaclyn trying to repair her parasocial relationships. It was revealed through court documents, through sworn testimonies, and through bank statements. We were about to find out definitively and legally what happened with Jaclyn's lipsticks. We were also going to find out that Jaclyn wasn't who she said she was within her own brand. Let's rewind back to June 9th of 2019, where I went on camera and had to retract my video that I had done as a review of Jaclyn's lipsticks. I had watched Crusty's video, and the very next day I had a live stream. It was actually the day after my birthday. I did a live stream talking about Crusty's video and what I had seen, and I was really genuinely upset because I didn't want anybody buying these lipsticks on my review and then them coming and being contaminated.
I'm so upset right now. Like I was up late editing What's in Makeup because that's what I do on Saturday nights. And you know, Crusty's video went live and I really didn't have time to watch it. Raw Beauty Crusty. If you don't know what the world I'm talking about, Raw Beauty Crusty, who's a friend of mine, I knew her video was coming up. I'd seen her pictures or whatever. I didn't know everything Crusty was going to say. I ended up watching it, even though it's 50-some minutes long. I put it on 1.5 speed so that I could watch it and still functionally get to show up to you today. And I'm horrified by what was in Christy's video. Absolutely horrified. But it was to the point where, like, even after I went to bed, I had trouble falling asleep. I literally, I'm not even kidding you, dreamt about the flipping Jaclyn Hill lipsticks. Like, I dreamt about, like, my it was like, you know, subscribers of mine were contacting me telling me that they got, like, diseases from using them, and it was my fault because I recommended lipsticks. I mean, it was like, I did not sleep well. I mean, it goes beyond lipsticks at this point. It's not just makeup. This is human health here. And I'm so upset. Let me just say, I did take my Jaclyn Hill review down. Even though I do stand behind that video, I still 100% believe everything I said in that video because it was based on the information I had at the time. Because things have changed and because I have new information that I am unable to put into the video, I had to take it down because I can't leave that video up, which kills me because I actually really like that video. I can't leave that video up in good conscience.
As I was chatting, somebody brought up something very interesting that a drama channel named Tea by Alley had discovered, and it had to do with an address on the bottom of the lipsticks.
Is it on there? Oh!
Australia.
Okay, so we have 2 Jamaica Street, Pergian Beach, Old, 457573, Australia. 2 Jamaica Street, Pergian Beach, QLD. It's not OLD, it's QLD. Queensland, 4573, Australia. It's the same lab as Morphe.
This Australian address turned out to be an address used by companies in order to sell products internationally. But the fact that it matched up with the same address that was on the back of Morphe products, something was up. I didn't know exactly what was up, but something was strange about that. Because Jaclyn had said this was a family-owned business, that this was her business. Why is she using Morphe's address? Well, maybe Morphe gave her the contact. Okay, maybe Morphe gave her the contact. Maybe there's no relation. She's friends with Linda from Morphe. That kind of makes sense. Point is, it was a strange detail and we didn't know what was going on with it, but we found out why that was there 3 years later when Morphe and Jaclyn Cosmetics filed for bankruptcy. And in that we had answers because their parent company called Former Brands was the one that filed for bankruptcy. Because the parent company filed for bankruptcy, all of the brands underneath them also filed for bankruptcy. So of course this included Morphe, Morphe 2, Jaclyn Cosmetics. They also owned Lipstick Queen, a hair care brand called Playa. They owned a vitamin company called Such Good Everything and also a skincare company endorsed by Emma Chamberlain that was called Bad Habit. A year before the bankruptcy filing in 2022, we got wind that Morphe may have been struggling. A lawsuit was filed by a mall because they were not paying rent at their Morphe store. They were behind. Apparently the pandemic had hit them really hard, and because of the pandemic, a lot of malls were giving a lot of grace to their stores because the malls were closed. How are you going to pay your rent for your mall space when the malls are closed? So there was a lot of grace going on, but now this is 2022 and Morphe's still not paying their bills for their stores, so they filed a lawsuit to get their money. Along with that, 2 of their powerhouse influencers, James Charles and Jeffree Star, they were not looked upon very well during that time because of things that they had done. Jeffree was being accused of misogyny and racism and just being an overall terrible human being. James Charles was accused of and later admitted to sending nude pictures of himself to minors. And these 2 influencers were linked hard with Morphe. They were some of the top earners over at Morphe, and some people were really upset about Morphe endorsing these 2 creators. So Morphe decided they were going to completely cut ties with both of them. And what they didn't count on was that the Jeffree Star fans and the James Charles fans that were buying the Morphe products did not care. They were more upset that Morphe had dared to hurt their favorite influencers and cut ties with them. They were standing up for their problematic faves, and Morphe did not expect that. So they actually, I believe, lost more sales in severing those ties and trying to do the right thing than they would have if they had actually kept them on, which I never would have predicted. Beyond that, Shelby Wild, who was the founder of Playa Hair Care, sued them for $15 million because she said when her brand was acquired, she was made all these promises about how they were going to incubate her brand, how they were going to help her grow, and now her brand was declaring bankruptcy, so she was suing them. But the biggest Morphe news in 2022 came right during the holiday season, and it was because the Morphe stores abruptly closed right in the middle of the holiday season.
What it's like working for Morphe right now.
Like, what the is going on?
RIP. Scottsdale Fashion Square Morphe.
One month later, in January of 2023, Forma declared bankruptcy. And this matters because this is not hearsay. These are legal documents. These are sworn statements. These are things that are evidentiary, concrete, and legally binding. It was reported that Forma as a whole owed lenders and bondholders $868 million, and they had a term loan that was coming due that was $26 million. And they're like, we don't got $26 million. And that's when they decided to declare bankruptcy. And then something major happened that changed the course of this forever. And it was a lovely subscriber of mine that gets all of the credit. And I hate that I don't know the name of this person. It has been lost to history. I do not have record of this person, but wherever you are, thank you, because you really changed everything by giving me a website link. That website link led to documents for the Morphe bankruptcy. Usually when I research lawsuits for What's Up in Makeup, I have to pay for every single filing that I want. But for some reason, I don't know why, I don't know how, but everything was free access. Through this link. And that's how I found everything. That's how I decided I was going to dig through these week by week. Every single document I skimmed through at least or read. And every week I was reading these filings and pulling out the most interesting things to share for What's Up in Makeup. If you could have been a fly on the wall as I was researching in my living room like I do, and the way I lost my shit when I read this, we could have lost our together because it was absolutely wild. This clip is from the January 29th, 2023 show. Man, are you going to be glad that you clicked on this video? I had this whole thing written as the Michaela story being the top story because it was everywhere, all over the internets all week. Michaela, Noguera, and Mascara Gate. But I actually have a story that tops that. At least in my mind, I am like, holy radio edit. At least in my mind, and it has to do with the Forma bankruptcy and some of the things that went into the filing this past week. I had a little bit of tea for you, and then the tea just got boiling this morning, and I'm so glad I waited till Saturday morning to film because I wouldn't have had this if I had filmed on Friday like I normally do. Now, right before filming, another document dropped. I was like, well, I'll check and see if there's... I am so glad I did because I honestly, we talked about this before, that people had to submit objections to anything that Forma was saying, anything that happened in the previous hearings before February 1st. And I was like, everybody seems to be getting along in the courtroom. There probably won't be any objections. Well, there is an objection, and it is very interesting. It is an objection from Oxygen Development, LLC. Oxygen Lab. Okay, we have to put this on because this is where the tea is. So Oxygen has put in an objection. The cure amount page, if you remember that, it's basically, from what I understand, the page where the brand that's filing for bankruptcy puts all the contracts they currently have open and things that they'll be breaking the contract if they don't pay for. So they have all these amounts listed. They had listed for Oxygen a cure amount of $10.70. And Oxygen was like, ho, ho, ho. No, absolutely not. Oxygen says that Morphe and Jaclyn Cosmetics owe them about $197,000, with about $170,000 of that in product that has already gone to the company. So they were like, they ordered the stuff, we made the stuff, we shipped the stuff in a timely manner, and they never paid us for it. But these aren't for current Jaclyn Cosmetics. Oh no, these orders were from 2019. Yes, these orders were for Jaclyn's original lipstick launch. The hairy lipsticks! The hairy lipsticks! We have the purchase orders, we have the receipts, we have all the stuff for the hairy lipsticks. Now you remember after the whole Jaclyn Cosmetics hairy lipstick debacle, she ended up giving everybody refunds. I had purchased a few of them. I got my refund. Some people said they didn't get a refund, but it seemed like most people, if not everybody, got their refund. Apparently, Jaclyn Cosmetics never paid the lab that made them. Listed in the document are the 20 shades of the original Jaclyn lipstick formula. There's also 4 shades of Morphe's Dimension Effect highlight sticks that launched in, I believe, October of 2019. That's when the first YouTube videos are popping up for me, as well as the Fluidity Color Correcting Concealer in green, pink, and what they call C.265, which is another shade, as well as their eye primer. This is where it gets real hairy, literally. So do you remember back a while ago in 2019 when Cassandra Bankson put one of the little things, the little fibery things that she pulled out of the lipstick, she put it on a microscope and she was like, this is animal hair. She's like 99% sure this is animal hair. And then people on Reddit figured out from Jaclyn's launch video that this was probably Oxygen Labs. Most likely. They didn't know. Now we know it definitely is. This is what I see from this. First, it does not look like the Jaclyn lipsticks were old. Remember, people were saying they were probably just sitting around for a really long time? It doesn't look like that. It looks like from order date to launch was about 2 months. It was like April to June. Hello, editing Jen here. Realized after I stopped filming that there were other things that just didn't make sense. So I have been talking with my friend who's in the industry for like the past hour and a half digging through this stuff, and I found some very interesting things. So this is what I learned in the past couple of hours. Are you ready for this? It looks like Jaclyn ordered her lipsticks, or Morphe ordered the lipsticks because Morphe was the one paying for them, on April 2nd of 2019. Jaclyn, in her My Lipsticks video where she talked about all the issues, flashed this document. This was done at the lab, okay, at Oxygen. That's where this was done. The dates on this are May 15th and May 16th. I looked up and found out that the launch date is May 30th for these lipsticks. So we are 14 days out from launch and they're still at the lab. So then we look on the invoices where Oxygen is disputing how much Forma owes them. These different invoices show when the product was shipped and how much was owed. The dates on these lipsticks being shipped are between May 20th and May 25th. So starting on May 20th, going to the 25th, they have batches of these lipsticks getting on a truck and driving from California to Florida. And if you're not familiar with the geography of the United States, that is literally the opposite side of our very giant country. Now, what I found fascinating about this is Jaclyn released her launch video for the lipsticks on May 23rd. So that means when Jaclyn launched her video, chances are not a single lipstick was in the distribution center. So how did she get the PR package that she shows in that video? They had to have been a different batch. They were not the same lipsticks. They were not from the same batch as the ones the customer got. They didn't even order them until April 2nd. So they had from April 2nd until they shipped on May 20th to make 200,000 lipsticks. How is that going to work for you? How are you going to make a quality product in that amount of time? Because traditionally, you can't even order the raw materials until the purchase order is in, right? That doesn't make any sense. So they couldn't even order the raw materials until after April 2nd. So they couldn't even start production they probably made 200,000 lipsticks in like a week. Maybe 2? We wonder why there were issues with this launch. We wonder why. I am just so curious. Why did it need to happen this fast? Why couldn't they take the time and maybe launch at holiday? Have them launch in October instead of June? Why did they have... You know what I mean? Like, I don't get it. I don't get why they did that. So this debunks a lot of things that people were speculating at the time. So like, for example, when Crusty did her video, she had her PR box and those seemed like they were fine, but for some reason the purchase products were not. And people were speculating that maybe Jaclyn purposely sent out the best ones to influencers and then just knowingly shipped out the contaminated ones to customers. I personally think there's a 0% 100% chance that that's true. That just doesn't make any sense because Jaclyn had been through things like this before with issues with products with Becca and with Morphe, and there's no way in my mind she would send out contaminated lipsticks on purpose. If she even thought there was a chance there was something wrong with these lipsticks, I don't think she would have sent them out. The other question we could now answer was if the lipsticks were old. Were these the ones that she talked about with James Charles in 2018? Were these the ones that she talked about were ready to go in 2017? Were these the ones that she had talked about as early as 2014? And we knew now definitively that they were not old. And we knew that because the receipts that Oxygen Development submitted had dates on them. Beyond that, we could tell, looking at the dates, that the manufacturing time was very, very short. And if the dots are connecting correctly, that means that they did rush the degassing process that caused the black holes, that caused the little ball that Crusty pulled out of the lipstick, the hollow little ball, that the formula was not cooled properly, and in that the lipstick didn't form properly. And it's kind of like cooking. Just think about it. It's kind of like cooking. You know, if you ever bake cookies, it doesn't matter. Just the cookie, however, raw cookies, you put them in the oven, and let's say you accidentally pull them out too early. You can't just let them cool and put them back in the oven. It doesn't work like that. You're gonna have to throw those cookies in the trash. They're gonna be nasty. You have to cook them right the first time. And that's the same thing with lipstick formula. You have to cool it properly the first time, and there's no way to save it if you do it wrong. And typically in a manufacturing facility, they would catch this in quality control and they would remelt the lipsticks and everything would probably be fine. But in this situation, it seems like they were on such a fast turnaround time that they couldn't do that, or else they would have missed their deadline. What about the white fibers and the dark hairs and all of that? Well, let's say Oxygen Development, they really wanted this contract, that they were gonna make a lot of money off it, right? This is just hypothetical. Let's say they're gonna make a lot of money and they really want it, but they really don't have space or time to do it. So what they maybe could have done was got some vats that maybe were sitting around for a while and had collected dust and debris and then didn't properly wash them before filling them with Jaclyn's lipstick formula. And then we have the batch codes being all the same. Maybe they just didn't have time to selectively put individual batch codes on each color. Maybe something happened there where they accidentally labeled them all the same number, but in that they didn't have time to go back and fix the mistake because they needed to ship out. And also it explains why nobody, to my knowledge, including Kenna, was able to find any mold or bacteria. These were brand new, just as Jaclyn had said. But there's a big but here. There's always a big but. I want to go back to Jaclyn's tweet from June 8th of 2019, where she says that Oxygen Development is the best lab in the US. I'm very lucky through this job that I am able to meet so many people that know so much more than me about different things in the industry. And I did talk to someone who knows more about this than me. And she said to me that she could understand why Jaclyn thought that Oxygen Development was a safe bet. And it was because Oxygen was not a teeny tiny little manufacturing facility. It wasn't some one-off cheapy company that nobody uses. Oh no. This insider, and backed up by another insider that I know, told me that Oxygen Development has probably manufactured something you have in your house right now or something you've purchased in the past. One of them told me that Oxygen Development actually made the Urban Decay Naked palettes. They also told me that if you go to an eyeshadow palette or any kind of product and you go to where it's manufactured, it'll say made in the USA and assembled in the Dominican Republic. They said if it says that, then very likely this product is from Oxygen Development, because that's what they do, and they don't know of any other manufacturing facility that does that. And I was like, wait a minute. And I will tell you that this palette right here, the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette, says on the back, made in the USA, assembled in the Dominican Republic. So there's a good chance that this could have been made at Oxygen Development. Beyond that, this person told me that 200,000 lipsticks in a month's period of time is something that Oxygen could have done, but only if they had the raw materials on hand. That typically it takes longer because you have to wait for those raw materials to come in. But overall, if Oxygen told Morphe and Jaclyn that they could do it, I can understand why they would have believed them. In that, there was no way Jaclyn would know that this would go south. Or was there a way she should have known? Enter Marlena Stell. Remember back from chapter 1, Marlena from Makeup Geek Cosmetics had been an advisor to Jaclyn when Jaclyn was going to launch Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics all by herself. And it turns out when Marlena had used oxygen development and had a contamination issue, she gave Jaclyn a heads up and said, hey, you may not want to work with them.
Do you think, I mean, did she already have her brand in the works at this point?
At this point, she did. She was already, because she had told me even when we first met that she wanted to work on a line. I was like, oh, cool. Let me help you, get you connected with some vendors, because I genuinely wanted to help her, because when I started my brand, I didn't have anyone to help me. And then LipstickGate happened, and I was going to keep quiet about it for a while, but then it was when I saw her just get on camera and just blatantly lie about it and not even address it, and knowing people were putting what I knew was contaminated lipsticks on their lips. And not even trying to prevent that. Like, that's when I became really vocal about LipstickGate. And I think some people got upset that I was vocal, but I don't care. Like, this is actual, like, I know what production's like. I worked with these labs. I knew what lab do this project. I had issues with that lab too. I told her about that in that text message. I had told her, don't work with this lab. I had issues with them. Like, she was warned and still moved on with them anyway.
But I can honestly see why, because they had so many other brands that they had worked with no issue. Maybe why she was like, well, Marlena, that happened to you, but it's not going to happen to me, and ignored her. But the point is that Marlena did try to warn her, and she didn't listen. Now, that brings us back to Jaclyn Hill herself, because the question that I have in my mind at this point is, if this wasn't her fault, if there was no way she could have known that this was going to happen, why did she throw herself under the bus?
In the future, even if you choose not to be a Jaclyn Cosmetics customer, even if you lose trust in me, that's okay. Like, I understand. I promise you guys all around the board perfect products, and not all of them were all around the board perfect products. So I get it. But I'm going to work very hard, and I'm going to work very diligently to make sure that within the next couple of months, within the next year, you're going to look at my brand and be like, oh, wow, this actually is good. Like, she actually corrected her error and she learned from her mistakes, because it's exactly what I'm going to do. And I'm so sorry for anyone who received anything less than perfect. I take full responsibility. This is my brand with my name on it and my team that I've created. And I am so sorry that you've received something that is not exactly how I described it to you.
And I personally believe that the reason why she did that was to cover up a lie, a really big lie that she had been telling since the very beginning, because through the bankruptcy documents, we found out that Jaclyn owned 0% of Jaclyn Cosmetics. 100% of Jaclyn Cosmetics was owned by Forma Brands. The other bit is that we've been talking around in circles on YouTube about whether Jaclyn ever owned Jaclyn Cosmetics. And really all we knew is that Jaclyn doesn't currently own Jaclyn Cosmetics, because the court papers say that they are a Forma parent company and that Jaclyn is not an investor at this moment. But what we didn't know is if Jaclyn ever owned her company. So we know for a fact that Morphe purchased the lipstick bullets for Jaclyn Cosmetics, which leads me to believe that Jaclyn never owned Jaclyn Cosmetics, even back to that original lipstick launch. Even though she said multiple times that it was her brand and she paid for it out of her pocket and it was all hers. If we had any question at all that Jaclyn Cosmetics was not owned by Jaclyn Hill, we have even more evidence now. I'm going to show you on the screen, because this is not marked as confidential and all of these are public records. A list of everyone involved with the company at the time of filing was published, and Jaclyn's name is nowhere on here. It is the list of debtors, officers, directors, managing members, general partners. It's everybody that is at the top of Jaclyn Cosmetics specifically. Jaclyn is not there. The next section asks if there's anyone else who was in control in any of those positions in the past year that isn't currently in control. And part of me was thinking Jaclyn's name might be on here, but nope, it's not there either. This is another part. So it also lists creditors that were paid by Jaclyn Cosmetics specifically within 90 days of filing the bankruptcy. Bankruptcy courts do not play. They want
all the information. So this is what it says. It says Jaclyn Hill LLC was paid. Now this is different than Jaclyn Cosmetics LLC. Jaclyn Cosmetics LLC is owned by Forma. Jaclyn Hill LLC is owned by Jaclyn Hill specifically. So she is listed as receiving 3 payments from November 17th to December 1st of 2022, totaling about $564,000. But look at this part. Look at how she is labeled. She is labeled as a collaborator and or licensor. So if you want to know what her official role is in the company, that is the official role. Additionally, there are new documents that call her an unsecured creditor, which means there's no collateral, and it says that they owe her about $1.1 million.
And this is my brand reveal video because it's my brand and it literally has my name on it. That I am launching a brand that I am so proud to be the owner of, I cannot even begin to tell you. But mom, you create whatever you want. You deserve to have something of your own in this line that people know, like they are buying into a family business when they purchase from Jaclyn Cosmetics. I want to address some of the issues that my customers are having with my first launch of my brand, Jaclyn Cosmetics, and doing a very in-depth investigation to figure out exactly what's going on so that I can give you the most informed information as a brand owner. One thing that I want to address before jumping into swatches is I see so many comments and questions on social media asking why I would be collaborating with Morphe again, since I now am a brand owner and have Jaclyn Cosmetics as my own. And the reason why that is because Morphe has helped me grow into who I am as a businesswoman. They have helped me from the very beginning and just taking me under their wing and taught me so much about product, and I appreciate them and value the relationship with them so much, and I'm able to create things with Morphe that I cannot create on my own. I would not be able or have the resources or the knowledge as of right now to create a 35 color palette with all different formulas that are beautiful and creamy and pigmented for only $39. I just couldn't do that at this time in my career. So being able to work with them is such an honor and a pleasure, and I love Morphe and I love working with them, and I love being able to give you guys such great products for an inexpensive price. That is why I'm collaborating with them again. As you guys have seen, there's been several other people who are also business owners and CEOs who collaborate with Morphe as well, and I'm just another one of them. You are a spoiled brat. Oh, I'm a spoiled brat. You guys, I'm a spoiled brat. I earned everything that I own by myself. No man ever backed me up. I never had an investor in anything. I did all the shit on my own. And somehow, one of the number one assumptions is that I'm a spoiled brat. That I take full responsibility for what happened, you guys. Like, it was my company and it was my name. Yes, I had business partners. It's like I was forced to hire on people. I was forced to get investors just because it's like, whoa, this is snowballing and it's getting so big and it's so exciting, you know?
One of the big reasons why I wanted to make this video that you're watching is because I wanted this part of the story to be in timeline order for anybody that wanted to know exactly what happened, because we have the dates and we have the evidence and we have the receipts. So it all starts in 2015 when Jaclyn wants to start Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics. She registers for the trademark Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics and she purchases those outer components with the JH on them because it's not Jaclyn Cosmetics, it's Jaclyn Hill Cosmetics. So why did she change the name and take Hill off? Well, not long after that, she divorced from John Hill. On July 18th of 2018, Jaclyn signed a contract with Morphe, and that contract was for a 15% royalty on products and the licensing of her name. According to the receipts filed by Oxygen to dispute the cure amount, on May 20th of 2019, Morphe, not Jaclyn, but Morphe was invoiced by Oxygen for Jaclyn's lipsticks. And strangely, really strangely, the invoice was the same day as the ship date. So that to me says that this was really, really rushed. And then this piece absolutely... So one day before Jaclyn's lipsticks launched, she signed a contract with Forma Brands that transferred her contract from Morphe over to Forma one day before the lipstick launch. And I believe that was because they wanted the sale of these lipsticks that was bound to sell millions of dollars in products, and did. They wanted all of that money to go under Forma Brands. And in that, when she signed the contract with Forma, it transferred over her contract from Morphe to to them that 15% royalty and that licensing of Jaclyn Cosmetics. The only time, at least legally in these documents, based on what we know, that Jaclyn could have said that she was the CEO and owner of Jaclyn Cosmetics was before this July 18th of 2018 date, way before she filmed her video announcing her lipsticks where she said that it was her brand and that it was a family-owned business. When Jaclyn said that she was the owner and the CEO of Jaclyn Cosmetics, she was lying. Jaclyn didn't own Jaclyn Cosmetics at the time of launch. She wasn't in control of manufacturing. She wasn't in charge of payroll. She wasn't in charge of ordering any of the ingredients. She wasn't in charge of choosing the ingredients. She wasn't in charge of hiring or firing or anything. She was most likely just the person picking the shades, just like she had done in the past with collaborations with Morphe. And I believe that she did this because she wanted to be seen as a boss babe. And if she wasn't the one that owned it, then it would make her look weaker than her peers that had done this really and truly on their own. And in the future that she never could have foreseen, she had no control over who purchased her brand or what her contract would look like once that deal was inked. Beyond that, this also meant that Jaclyn Cosmetics, when they filed for bankruptcy, owed Jaclyn Hill a lot of money. The filing says they owed her $1.1 million as an unsecured creditor. And what I've learned about that through researching bankruptcies is that when a company goes bankrupt, they pay the secured lenders first, the ones with collateral. They pay them first, and then there's a pool of money where they pay the unsecured creditors, and a lot of them just never get paid. And from what other unsecured creditors have said online, James Charles has been very vocal about this, that he was never paid. I imagine that Jaclyn wasn't paid either, but we will never know. Like I was saying, on March 2nd of 2023, two of Forma's lenders purchased Forma Brands as a whole, which meant that it bought all of their quote-unquote child companies, including Jaclyn Cosmetics. The purchase price for all of it was $690 million. Now that's a lot, especially for a company that seemed to be struggling, that couldn't pay their rent, that had to close down their stores. So why would they do that? And what it comes down to is that the lenders were owed more than $690 million. So it was kind of a debt forgiveness situation. We'll forgive $690 million of the debt. We'll call it a purchase price. And then anything we earn after that is ours to grow the company. It was literally the only way they had a chance of making any money back, because they were called what they call a stalking horse. Essentially, they were the only ones who wanted this company. There were no other bids. Zero other people wanted to buy Forma Brands. It was just these lenders. Meanwhile, days later, I'm still digging through these documents, and I saw that both Jaclyn and Oxygen asked the court for special hearings, for special consideration with the court, a date where they would come and present their case about grievances that they had. Now, unfortunately, my nosy ass never got to find out what that grievance that Jaclyn had was, because it settled before they could have that date. Wah, wah, wah. What was also really interesting, and quite the side tangent, was that more than just Jaclyn Hill and James Charles were owed money from Morphe. I'll play the clip from What's Up in Makeup from April 2nd of 2023.
Y'all, the Morphe bankruptcy case is over. Unfortunately, for a lot of people that are involved with Morphe and Forma and Jaclyn Cosmetics and the other companies, including Jaclyn Hill, unfortunately for her, it seems like a lot of people are not going to get paid the money that they are owed. And it seems like, I am not a lawyer, but it seems like that specifically includes about 142 influencers that were not paid due to royalties. This does include names that you may be familiar with, like Amanda Ensing, Bretman Rock, Carly Bible, Charlie and Dixie D'Amelio, Gabriel Zamora, Kathleen Fuentes, also known as Kathleen Lights, Makeup Shayla, and Patrick Starr. Thankfully, they are all owed less than $100, at least according to what they're saying in the paperwork. People that were owed more money than that are Nikki DeJager, also known as Nikki Tutorials. She was owed about $1,100. Manuel Gutierrez III also owed a lot of money, $32,000 for him. Maddie Ziegler about $19,000. That was, I believe, due to their collab. But along with all of the influencers, there are also a lot of brands that are losing out on tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. And what I imagine this is product that was sold through the Morphe stores on the Morphe website that Morphe just took the money and spent it on something else instead of paying the companies for the product and the money that they earn from selling through Morphe. These companies are listed as a reason for owing as trade, and some of those companies are Beauty Bakery, Danessa Myricks, Nikita Dragon's Dragon Beauty, Grande Cosmetics, Lily Lashes, Nabla, P. Louise, Rare Beauty, Lunar Beauty, and Suva Beauty. And Suva Beauty seems to be the one that's going to be hit the hardest if they don't get paid. They're owed a whopping $398,000. The total unsecured claims for Morphe alone is about $70 million. Forma's unsecured claims are about $28 million, and Jaclyn Cosmetics' unsecured claims are about $19 million, I should say, not 20, $19 million. So for just those three brands alone, it's about $117 million that they owe, and they have $1.25 million to split among those people. So I don't know who's actually getting paid. That may come out at a later date, but most people, it seems like, are gonna be screwed if I'm reading this correctly. If you're curious, Morphe and Jaclyn Cosmetics' stance on this and what they're telling customers, if you go to either of their websites, they've changed their FAQ to talk about how the companies are being purchased by new owners or being acquired by new owners. And honestly, it's super generic. It's like, you know, we have new owners, but products are still gonna be available and they're gonna be amazing, and like all of that stuff. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
So most likely, none of these people ever saw their money. And while we're on a side tangent, just really quickly, because this one breaks my heart, Suva Beauty that was mentioned, they didn't make it past this. The founder of Suva Beauty put out a statement in March of 2024 explaining why their company was going out of business.
Hey everyone, my name's Shayna Azad. If you know me, awesome. If you don't, well, I have a very important announcement to make in this video. In 2023, our largest retailer declares bankruptcy. Shortly after, my father had a heart attack. Alhamdulillah, he's doing much better now. But that shifted my priorities significantly. And the world since then has continued to reveal its truths. And the time has now come for me to say goodbye. And Suva Beauty is going to be closing its doors.
But it turns out Suva Beauty was not the only brand that could not survive this bankruptcy. Jaclyn Cosmetics wasn't going to survive either. The distinction between who Jaclyn said she was within Jaclyn Cosmetics and who legally she was within Jaclyn Cosmetics is the key to everything that came after this point. We got our first hint that something was going wrong over at Jaclyn Cosmetics when Jaclyn uploaded a video called Let's Chat on February 24th of 2023. I want to play you some key moments because this was a really interesting video.
I'll be honest, if you look back at my channel, you can see the proof it's in the pudding. But after I had my lipstick launch, things were just never the same for me ever again on YouTube. Like it just took such an emotional toll on me. I still go to therapy about what happened online through that whole lipstick debacle. It's now like a part of me, right? It's like a part of my character. So it's like I still make jokes and like laugh at it and all that, but it was just so traumatic and I really never got back to YouTube the same ever again. You know, it's like I gained weight, I turned to alcohol, and then I started Jaclyn's journey, and then my YouTube became all about lifestyle and like repairing the damage and all of that. And it's just, yeah, I have not sat down and just done a makeup tutorial just to do one. I feel like since before my lipsticks, and I miss it so much.
This next part is so interesting, so listen carefully to what Jaclyn says and how she says it.
Honestly, you guys, while I'm sitting here doing this, like if we're just gonna have an open, transparent conversation, I'm literally like, I could just sell everything. Like I could just sell Jaclyn Roxanne, sell Cozy, cosmetics, just quit it all and just do this.
Did you hear it? Did you hear what she said?
Like I could just sell Jaclyn Roxanne, sell Cozy, cosmetics, just quit it all and just do this.
She didn't say Jaclyn Cosmetics, she stumbles. And I think that's because in real time, she's processing that she can't now say Jaclyn Cosmetics is a brand that she can close. But she also knows that her audience may not know that. And in that moment, that gives her power. But also in that moment, in her eyes, you can see that she's recognizing that this public persona, this public facing role that she has shared, and the facts coming out has put her in a very difficult position. And I have to say, this next clip did feel a little bit pointed. You know, it's okay. It's all right. I'm not mad about it.
People thinking that I'm shady, that I have terrible business practice, that I'm stealing things from people, or I'm not being transparent. And it's like, it's so exhausting when it comes to business, because it's like, guys, it's business. Like, I do not owe you explanations. You do not know what's going on behind the scenes. You do not know the conversations that are being had. You literally don't know. You don't know. I don't care what documents you've seen. You don't know what's in process. You don't know what's happened. You don't know who's lying out there. You don't know. Unless you literally work for me, you don't know.
So now it was up to Forma whether they would continue Jaclyn's contract. And I'm gonna play you another clip from What's Up in Makeup. This one is from April 16th of 2023. And this is when we learned that they would not be continuing her contract.
And one of the biggest problems with Forma brands is obviously the money was mismanaged very, very much. It was a lot of mismanagement, hundreds of millions of dollars spent without hundreds of millions of dollars coming in. So the new owners, of course, they want to make their money back and more. And then I'm assuming they will probably, if they can get it back doing well, that they will then sell it for even more money. So it's in their very best interest to cut costs as much as possible. And one of those costs is Jaclyn Hill herself. As we learned through the bankruptcy filings, Jaclyn Hill doesn't own any part of Jaclyn Cosmetics. She is a licensor and collaborator, and she was earning royalties through that position, but she was not CEO, she was not president, none of that, just a collaborator. So through that, we learned through new documents, she was earning a 15% royalty on anything sold through Jaclyn Cosmetics. And it seems like the new owners were not a fan of that deal. They have rejected the agreements between Morphe LLC and Jaclyn's company, Jaclyn Hill LLC. They also clarify in the documents just filed that once the closing date hits, the new owners will continue sales until they formally reject Jaclyn's contract. After what they call the rejection effective date, there will be a new agreement. Royalties will still be paid to Jaclyn under this new agreement, but unfortunately, us nosy people will probably not learn the terms of this agreement unless something goes bad and then more filings end up becoming public. It is very, very likely, in my opinion, these royalties will be significantly lower than what Jaclyn is used to. The reason why I believe this is because in a public statement, Thomas Brady, who is the president of Jefferies Finance LLC, no relation to Jeffree Star, said that they are moving forward with, quote, a new capital structure that includes additional liquidity and less debt. The question is, what will Jaclyn's role in Jaclyn Cosmetics be? Because if they cut how much money she's being paid for her work, will she see it as worth it to work so hard for Jaclyn Cosmetics, or will she redirect her energy to her two other brands that she seems to own outright, the Cozy brand and then Jaclyn Roxanne, the jewelry brand?
In June, the new owners of Forma brands, Morphe, Jaclyn Cosmetics, and all of the child companies, they put out a statement. They wanted to go product first instead of influencer first, which was a very different direction from Morphe specifically. In that, the Morphe code system for 10% off was most likely going away, and we didn't really truly know what was going to happen with Jaclyn Cosmetics. Fast forward to late May of 2023, and do you remember that clip I showed you a little earlier from the Sash of Marlene Estelle talking about how she had warned Jaclyn about the contamination that had happened at 2 different labs? She actually warned her about 2 different labs. That was when that came out. So that brought everything back up to the surface right when Jaclyn and Jaclyn Cosmetics was on such shaky ground. On August 4th, Jaclyn made an announcement that she was closing her brands, but not Jaclyn Cosmetics. She was closing her other 2 brands that we still believe she owned outright. She had a clothing company, it was like a loungewear company called Cozy, and then she had a jewelry company called Jaclyn Roxanne. Now the Cozy story is a whole nother story. I'll put a link down below to a video where you can learn all about the drama behind Cozy. That was a whole different thing. But in that video closing those two brands, she did mention her lipstick launch. I want to play you the clip.
This is a very difficult conversation for me to have, although I am ready, just because I have finally, over the last couple of months, had to really admit my wrongs and where I personally fucked up as a creator, as an owner, and as a CEO. This all goes back to Jaclyn Cosmetics. This all goes back to my love for makeup, and this all goes back to my lipstick launch. I started doing collabs. I started seeing the revenue and the income that was bringing in, and I was like, oh my God, I could actually, like, my dream could come true. Like, my little girl dream could come true. Like, I could create my own cosmetic line. Like, this is like insane that I even had the resources and the ability and the following to have that opportunity to do. And so I did it. I fulfilled that dream by doing everything that I thought possibly was right to create Jaclyn Cosmetics. So after my lipstick launch happened and things obviously did not go as planned, I honestly became zombie-like. I did the absolute bare minimum as a founder and CEO. I just relied on my team to just kind of like float me through everything. I felt the way I handled the lipsticks is the biggest regret of my entire life, ever. Like, launching them, that was a shitty situation, you know? But the way I handled it is my biggest regret ever.
I'm gonna pause this for a second because when I was watching this in real time, I remember just like being glued to my screen, like not knowing what Jaclyn was gonna say. Like, is she going to talk about the fuzzy gloves? Is she gonna admit that wasn't true? Is she gonna come clean and explain it? Let's watch.
Launching them, that was a shitty situation, you know? But the way I handled it is my biggest regret ever, because it's not just like I gave up on cosmetics, I gave up on myself. I gave up on my little girl dream. I gave up on me. That's when I decided to create 2 new brands. Instead of pouring myself back into cosmetics, taking accountability and not giving up on myself, I decided, well, gotta create new brands, gotta prove myself to my followers that, you know, I'm a bad bitch and I can do this. And I'll be honest, you guys, like, just keeping it real, I kind of feel like it was a pressure that was put on me in the sense I put on myself of like all of my peers, they all have brands. Like, that's what you do. Like, you create a YouTube channel, you get the income, and then you create your own brand, something that can make you money going forward. And I looked around and I see everybody, you know, it's like Manny, Laura, Desi, Katie, all these people who are in the same space as me at the same time are all creating brands. And to me, it looks like they're thriving, and I'm like, oh, I gotta do it too. I gotta do it too. And that's really another thing that I fucked up on in a decision that I made that ended up hurting me, because at the end of the day, guys, I don't really want to be a brand owner.
What I believe Jaclyn is saying here is she's kind of warming up her audience to the idea that Jaclyn Cosmetics is going to go away as well. She had such a cushy deal with these collaborations, and she was making so much money. Millions of dollars were owed to her. These were probably not the first payments that she would have gotten from Forma. This in the court filing, it says the dates that Jaclyn was owed money from, and it seems like those were associated with Jaclyn Cosmetics. She had already been paid out long before on the white palette she had released that was a huge hit. So I think we can infer that Jaclyn had made millions and millions of dollars off of her different collabs. I mean, think about the champagne collection with Becca, how much money she must have made off of that. And all she had to do was pick shades, put her name on it, and make some content, and she would that money would just roll in. She didn't have to worry about when they were going to order packaging or how much it would cost, or, you know, returns on investment and advertising and hiring and firing. She didn't have to do any of that as a collaborator. But she had to do it if she was going to own the company. So I have a theory that Forma offered her Jaclyn Cosmetics. And I did hear whisperings that that could have been true. They said, hey, do you want to buy it from us? And Jaclyn said no. Because she says directly in this video, she doesn't want to own a company. She doesn't want to do that kind of work. But in this particular case, it seems like she wanted to collaborate while masquerading as the CEO, and Forma and Morphe allowed her to do that. She said she didn't know at that point what was going to happen with Jaclyn Cosmetics, but the court documents told a different story.
As for Jaclyn Cosmetics goes, honestly, you guys, I don't know the future of my brand. I really don't. I mean,
because of everything that I've said to you this entire video, I really don't know. I mean, I really stepped away and I really just did the bare minimum, and I was given such an incredible opportunity to be in Ulta stores, and I've done the bare minimum supporting my brand in Ulta, which is crazy because that's literally my dream. I could just cry over this.
Now, I honestly don't blame Jaclyn for not revealing the big lie at this point, that she wasn't the CEO or the owner of Jaclyn Cosmetics. I don't think it would have been in her best interest to do that at this point. So I get it. It wasn't the right time to tell her audience that her 15% commission deal that she had signed with Morphe and had been taken over by Forma had ended. But she kind of hints that it did.
So at this point, I don't know what's gonna happen with Jaclyn Cosmetics because of the decisions that I've made, because of the fact that I did the bare minimum. It's just wild to think that that is what started my YouTube career. I definitely feel ashamed and like I blew it, and that might be the case, but I'm gonna own up to it and own my shit. And at this point, it's like, let's just see what the future holds.
The fact is, a CEO and a brand owner could never step away like that. There is one more video that Jaclyn uploaded before Jaclyn Cosmetics closed, and it was on December 18th of 2023, and I do want to show you some little parts of it.
Okay, I'm gonna go in with the Jaclyn Cosmetics Plush Blush in Plush Pink and do 2 dots up towards the top of the cheekbone. I know that I created this blush, and I'm gonna be sad to see it go. Okay, I'm sad to see all of it go. Okay, I'm gonna set my entire face with my favorite loose powders. These are both by Jaclyn Cosmetics, my Mood Light setting powder and my Power Move setting powder. I have enough of these to keep me stocked for like the next 2 or 3 years in my back stock. And I don't know what I'm gonna do after that, because these are my favorite powders ever.
And about 2 weeks later, what was basically already said was formally announced: Jaclyn Cosmetics was closing. Here is the post from the Jaclyn Cosmetics Instagram. You can pause to read the whole thing, but essentially it's from Jaclyn, and it says that 2023 was transformational, and says that her joy is real, but she has had to make some tough decisions, and that one of them was to, quote, close the doors on Jaclyn Cosmetics for the foreseeable future. And then she talks about how important the brand has been to her, but she's done with it. And then she thanks people for their supporting of her dream, and she thanks Ulta Beauty, but she needs time and patience to continue to follow those dreams. And I'll read this next part because I think it's important. It says, to make it very clear, I am so excited for the future. I am in the best mental and physical health I've ever been in. I have an unbelievable support system through all of you and my family. I am finally feeling like myself again. I am incredibly grateful to be where I am in life, and I can't wait to continue to grow in all aspects of it. And that is where the LipstickGate story itself ends. Not with accountability, not with clarity, but exactly where Jaclyn wanted it to end. A public closure of her brand on her terms. But here's the twist. Even though we had kind of figuratively put the cap back on the lipstick, there was something within Jaclyn that was still contaminated by the whole experience. And the thing that was inside of her still needed to come out. And that's what we're going to examine under the microscope next. On May 13th of 2023, the podcast Paid Day Off put up an episode. And in that episode, the gentleman who run it interviewed Jordan Torrey, Jaclyn's husband. And he said this.
I'm not saying that some people don't deserve to be like, hey, I don't fuck with him no more. I don't fuck with her no more. Like, I get that, man. But, like, it's so dangerous to the person on the other side of that.
Yeah.
And I've got firsthand experience of how that shit can rock your world. And it's like, and the truth is, bro, like, what my girl went through with her lipsticks was not her fault. Like, I'm not gonna go into details just for like legal reasons. I don't want to dabble in that, but like that was literally not my girl's fault, and the internet ruined her for a while.
Because it's my brand and it literally has my name on it. I am launching a brand that I am so proud to be the owner of, I cannot even begin to tell you. Every single ingredient in my lipstick is new and it is FDA approved. And again, I will give you proof right here. If you guys want to look over these documents in depth and tear them apart, you go right ahead and see that they are not contaminated. I take full responsibility. This is my brand with my name on it and my team that I've created. There's so many rumors out there, which I'm honestly, guys, I'm not going to address them. I trusted the wrong people. I did a lot of things that I should not have done.
Because people made assumptions on shit they don't know. You don't work with labs. You're not signing contracts. You're not in negotiation rooms. You're not in a war room. It's like, you don't know what's going on. You don't know this shit. It's like Alec Baldwin when the girl got shot on set. Everybody, he's a murderer. It's like, I don't comment on that shit because I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know what happened. And just because I watched what has happened to my girl time over time again with people coming after her with these scandals, it's like, you don't know. You're not there. There is so much more that goes on behind the scenes, so many more people involved, so many more hands that are in this, so many more angles and obstacles and all this stuff. And it's like, you read a couple things and you make a judgment and then you call somebody a piece of shit. It's like, yo, f you. You don't know what you're talking about.
I have to be honest with you. As I was watching this, the whole time I was watching it, my face was like this. That was until the man that's sitting next to Jordan, his name is Troy Blyden, he said this.
Because the truth is, you never know. It's like Tory Lanez and Megan Thee Stallion. Man, we've been through court. It's been years. We've heard we still don't know what happened. We got people that shit on both of them. And it's like, you don't know what happened. Why do you have an opinion?
Okay, well, what about a situation like R. Kelly or Bill Cosby? How do you feel about that?
Well,
because where do we draw the line there?
That's a good question.
Bro, I feel like if there's like undeniable truth to it.
But how is it undeniable?
Well,
because at the end of the day, we still don't know, even if it's like
100% cancel culture. I'm not with it. If you see something that's literally undeniable, factual, hard proof that you think is messed up, fine.
I know Troy will probably never watch this video, but I just want to thank you, sir, because that was the only moment of this entire podcast where I was like, thank you. Thank you. I'm like hitting my stuff over here because that was some bullshit. The way that Jordan was talking was absolute bullshit. Now, don't get me wrong, his emotion and his love for Jaclyn, I'm sure, is extremely real, but he was ignoring all of the facts and pretending like they didn't even exist. Jordan was just yapping and yapping and yapping, and Troy was the voice of reason. Now, I don't blame him for not pushing the point. I feel like he probably could have. I have a feeling he was thinking that he could push the point, but probably shouldn't, as far as holding Jordan accountable for this train of thought. Because Jordan spins this like we have no proof that Jaclyn lied. And this narrative continues to this day, that Jaclyn was the victim in this situation, even though she came out at some point and said, I don't want to be shown as the victim. That is exactly what she has painted herself to be, and that's what Jordan painted her to be in this interview. And the thing is, both of them paint Jaclyn as the victim because they ignore the facts that have been revealed. They focus on feelings and emotions and how Jaclyn was so hurt by this. And why this will never be over is because they keep bringing it up over and over again. If it's not Jordan, it's Jaclyn. They don't stop. They have talked about this on so many podcasts over the past couple of years.
For a newbie like me.
Yeah.
Can you fill me in on what happened?
Yes. So I worked on my lipsticks for years, okay? Like
Yeah.
redoing formulas, changing colors. I'm like, I just want it to be so perfect. Like, I know that I'm going to sell so many. They have to be perfect. I'm such a perfectionist. Keep in mind, at this point of my life, I had basically not even ever done a sponsorship or a brand partnership. I think I'd done a total of 2 my entire career. I did one with Ulta and I did one with a eyelash company. And that's it. I literally did not take sponsorships or partnerships because I just wanted my audience to know how authentic I was. And my audience believing in me has always been my number one thing.
Yeah.
To the point that I did not even monetize my videos for several years on YouTube, which is actually insane.
Yeah.
But I did not monetize and put ads in my videos for like 4 years because I didn't want people to think that the only reason I was posting a YouTube video is just for the money. There was defects in them. There was air bubbles in some. There was little white fuzzies on some. They weren't perfect. After, you know, my team did a deep dive on everything, factually what happened was 2% of them were considered defective. But that 2% was so loud on the internet that you would think that I released like 5 million lipsticks covered in hair. It got so bad. There were so many videos of people talking about these, claiming that there was animal hair in them, that there was feces in them, that there was mold in them, that they were making people sick.
Glass, plastic, like.
And I could not turn on my phone without seeing something about me.
I get how this would, you know, hurt and destroy you, but I don't. Do people think you purposely did this?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, that's interesting. Do people think that you are the person in the factories, like in charge of everything?
Yes.
That's where I'm confused.
And that's the biggest thing about the industry that our dear friend is in, is it is an unforgiving.
Yeah.
No, like, I just feel like the makeup world is just like, for some reason,
It's the Wild West.
They say, have you ever heard the beauty community is the ugliest one?
I haven't, but that's
like
true.
A very known thing. It's sad.
Okay,
it's really
so that's
sad.
a thing, because in my mind, I'm going, there's recalls on cars all the time.
Well,
there's, you know, like freaking food, like things go wrong and it doesn't destroy companies.
So it's like every single day we're getting, you know, we pop up YouTube and it's like new gossip channel videos, and they're all just ripping her to pieces, and the comments are ripping her to pieces. And like, not for nothing, but like, Jaclyn is not a public speaker. She's not a chemist. She'll sit here and tell you, she's like, I'm not meant to be a businesswoman or a business owner. So when you've got somebody who's panicked because their product that they've just spent the last 5-6 years, you know, working on, it's their baby, they launch it, and then it literally gets shot down like this, you know, she's in a panic herself because she doesn't have the answers, and she's relying on, you know, partners and lab people and all these other people to get these answers, and she's just relaying the message to her followers in a panic. You know, if we could go back in time, I think both of us would agree that if she had just like paused and been like, hey, give me a couple weeks, let me get to the bottom of this, things would have went a lot differently. But because there was just this like panic and people demanding answers and all these crazy videos, like, dude, there were videos where people were like, had her lipsticks, they would sit them down and they were wearing hazmat suits with microscopes. Like that, they took it that far, and these things were getting millions and millions of views.
I just want to say that this past year, the biggest difference in myself that I've noticed is you can't cancel me now.
Ooh, that's a bar.
In July of 2023, Jaclyn put up this Instagram post, and the caption on the screen reads, POV, you're using Jaclyn Hill's contaminated lipsticks 4 years later. She did this a few times. She also, like I said, went on podcasts. So she went on Cheers with Avery Woods.
The only thing that was issue with mine was that I left it in the community mailbox at our apartment, and it's so hot that they were kind of melty, but I still used them. I immediately put them in the freezer, actually.
I still use them to this day.
I had them, and so I was like, I just don't get it.
2%. It was 2% that were defective.
Okay.
So to think about how loud the internet is actually insane.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, I ended up giving a full refund, right? I didn't make 1 penny off of that, which was a really hard hit because millions of dollars were made on that day.
Yeah.
Millions. And then I gave every single dollar back. I spent my own money on that entire line, okay? Saved every penny I made from the beginning. Then I ended up getting investors before I launched, right? Because I realized with my Morphe sales, I'm incapable of this. Like, how am I supposed to do this on my own? But the plan was always to do it on my own. Okay, so I had good intent behind it. Ended up getting investors, partners.
So what is the white fuzzies?
Here's the tea, is how am I supposed to know? And then there was a lot of people who lied about it. A lot of people that behind the scenes I actually caught red-handed lying, which I would never name names, but there were some people out there who made videos that straight up lied. I actually got apologies for some of those lies later because those videos were getting so many views. It was like the thing to jump on the bandwagon. You're not going to build a sustainable career where people love and trust you by hating other people.
100%.
It's not, you can, a quick buck, yes. But like all those people who were talking crap about me back then, like where are they now?
Recently, Jaclyn Cosmetics was sold.
No, shut down.
Oh, okay.
Fully shut down.
Oh, okay.
Didn't make any money off of that. No sale.
Oh, okay. So talk me through that decision, because it was all businesses, correct?
Yep.
Okay. When did you come to the decision of that?
When I stopped drinking. It was a very, very, very fast decision, but I stopped drinking. I had business partners, my investors, and I was just totally transparent with them. I'm like, I don't think I want to move forward with this.
Then she went on Manny and Laura's podcast called Full Coverage.
I was like, why'd you do that? Like, why do you close your businesses?
Okay, so it's a very simple answer. I closed my businesses because I was so severely depressed.
I never posted my hairy lipsticks.
Oh, I love you, Laura.
I said no.
T.
I
still
said
have mine.
because listen,
I love you.
I don't still have.
I have one.
He's over there picking.
I literally saw it. I was like,
listen, I owned a makeup business I still do, but when that happened, I owned a makeup business, and I just thought if this shit happened to me, and like my fellow peers were gonna make videos to wreck my ass, like that would have broken me more than the hairy lipsticks would have broken me.
Dude.
So I said, I'm literally throwing them in the trash, and I'm not addressing it, I'm not talking about it, I'm not showing it, I'm not magnifying it, I'm not finding hairs in it. I'm respecting a female business owner, because if this shit happened to me, I just pray that my peers would just like have that respect and not take the bite.
Thank you. You have no idea how much that means.
Oh,
to
I
me.
know exactly what that means to you, because when I saw it happening, I was like, "What? This sucks."
yeah,
like,
it sucks.
This
Well, I mean,
sucks.
we've experienced things
That have gone awry, in creating product, and so I was just like, I'm gonna do unto her as I would pray someone would do unto me.
Yes. And what's crazy is that there were several different people who made videos about me during the lipsticks, and
baby, they come out of the woodworks.
They came out of the woodwork, and they got a lot of views and a lot of attention, and then they come back into my DMs like in the last couple of years, like, oh, we should hang out, and I'm like, I will not forget what you did.
Ever.
I won't forget.
Ever.
Like that.
Forgiven, never forgotten.
I am a good person. I'm trying my hardest. If I would have known there was fuzzies in my lipsticks, they wouldn't have been launched. Period.
Period.
I refunded.
The end. Simple.
I refunded $3 million. Not one penny went in my pocket. Period. Moving on.
Which guru's 2019 lipstick launch was dragged for having bumps and hairs?
Bumps?
No, bumps.
It's awful.
The thing is also, once the bandwagon kind of starts, like everything anyone says, even if it's false, is true.
Correct.
About you, because you're the one that's in that turmoil. I had so many things that were lied about me during the thing that I was like, girl, this is not even real.
You guys, if
What are you talking about?
I saw a video pop up about me. Oh, here I go. Here she goes. I saw a video pop up about me like a year ago, and it had almost 1 million views, and it was like a full-blown documentary on YouTube.
I didn't watch it, of course, but
Wait, I know the thumbnail. I saw the thumbnail as well.
It had like 800,000 views, I think.
Wait,
I'm like,
what the
good for you. I'm like,
fuck?
low-key good
Fuck
for you,
yeah.
Jaclyn. That's fucking
Yeah, you did get that
sick,
views for
bitch.
them.
This is the way you have to rewire your brain.
It's trauma.
You have
You
to
have
attach
to.
yourself
You have
to
to.
so much trauma.
You have
You're
to.
like, oh, thank God, I'm so relevant. I get this comment all the time, how if those lipsticks were to launch now, 2025, the difference of how that would go down versus what happened in 2019.
Well, there's
I also think that the way I handled it was just so terrible. And I think that ruffled so many feathers that like still to this day, people are like, it's not even about the lipsticks, it's about the way you handled it.
Right.
And I hate to be this person, but like I was not trained to handle something like that. I was also
None of us were. What do you?
You guys, I still tutor.
Oh my God, Laura's like,
I'm like,
really?
Also, like,
when your body's lit on fire, it's really hard,
to
to
be
logically
logical.
be
Yeah,
like,
it's
oh, okay,
hard, but
I
like-
see why this is upsetting. Let me handle this with grace. It's hard.
The only person that I had in my life to truly give me guidance because of what they had been through was Linda, who's the founder of Morphe. And I just didn't listen to her. Period.
right.
She's like, refund everybody now and just apologize, and that's it. And I tried to do that, but then I shut down all my social media accounts for 30 days. I did not behave the way a CEO and a founder should behave.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
But then in March of 2025, I felt like Jaclyn might have had a moment of clarity, of wanting to kind of admit that maybe she hadn't handled it all that well.
I am back with another hot take, okay? I'm just sitting here thinking about how I always see people my entire life say, live life with no regrets, okay? I was just watching a celebrity interview and they were asked if they have any regrets. And they're like, no, none, because every experience shapes you and everything happens for a reason. I call bullshit. I call bullshit on this for myself, not for you. I have many regrets. There are things that I look back on in life and I'm like, yup, could have gone without that. I fucked up. I was stupid. I should not have done that. For one, my lipsticks. Fully regret it. I did not need to have that experience from beginning to end, from launching them to the way I handled it, to the way I treated myself and others throughout it. I regret so much of it, and that's just one thing in my life. So yes, I grew from it, and yes, I learned from it, but also it is now the regret of what I did that I have to live with that has created boundaries to protect myself, to make sure I'll never do something like that again. So I personally live life with regret. I do. I'm grateful for experiences, yes, but I'm like, I still regret doing that. But I think that that shapes me and that molds me and that creates boundaries for myself and it creates discipline for myself. And therefore, I'll never make those mistakes again because I did learn from something that I did and I participated in and I do regret it. Does that make sense?
But even in this moment, she doesn't ever say exactly what happened, what she knew, when she knew it, or most importantly to me, what she would have done differently if given the chance. So in all of this, I was thinking about it and I was trying to figure out how Jaclyn manipulated her audience through all of this to not even pay attention to all of these facts. Because on its face, if you say, is deception bad? Everybody's gonna say, yeah, deception's bad. Is lying bad? Yeah, everybody's gonna say lying is bad, but she convinced them that it wasn't that bad. So how did she do that? We touched on this a little bit earlier, and it's how Jaclyn frames things. She framed the whole thing as an emotional moment rather than a mistake. She hijacks the empathetic part of her subscribers' brains in a way that makes them forget the facts that they saw with their own eyes. She exploits them by making them feel responsible for her feelings. Holding her accountable for doing legitimately bad things is framed as hurting her physically. And Jaclyn frames everything as a moral attack rather than just naming what happened and talking about the why of it. And I personally believe the reason why her fans fall for this is because I think everybody's been in a situation where they've been misunderstood. Everybody's been in a situation where they feel like they were treated unfairly. But very few people on this planet have had to deal with lipstick contamination on such a grand scale. And I believe Jaclyn knows this and she exploits it. And it doesn't matter if court documents proved it to be true. It is all about feelings, not court documents. Beyond that, every time Jaclyn talks about her lipstick, she gives her fans ammunition to use against the haters, aka people who saw things with their own eyes and still have questions. She says things like, you don't know what happened behind the scenes. I don't care what court documents you've read. You weren't there. Unless you were working for me, you don't know what really happened. And that's what her audience parrots back to anyone who dares question her. She gives her fans the impression that there is more to the story, but she never tells them what the more is. They just implicitly trust her. And then she drives the knife in because she ties your personal loyalty to whether you believe her or not. And if you don't believe her, she doesn't need you. Unfollow me if you don't believe me. And for Jaclyn fans, this is how she gets them. She leaves no room for people who genuinely like her but just don't like the thing that she did. And that is manipulation at its finest. You may be asking yourself at this point, especially if you're a Jaclyn Hill fan, so Jen, what is she not allowed to talk about her feelings? Of course she's allowed to talk about her feelings, but she shouldn't be using those as a way to manipulate people, as a way to hide the actual facts of what happened. What I'm saying is she's using your empathy for her as a manipulation strategy to keep you following and, in my opinion, to keep you buying the things that she earns a commission on, to keep you watching the content that she earns AdSense on when she uploads to YouTube. And the more you watch and the more you engage, the more sponsorships she gets. And when she does come up to sell a product, her loyal fans will buy it. Throughout this entire story, Jaclyn has rarely disputed facts with other facts. She just demands a blanket empathy. And because she's so fun and she's so charismatic and she's so charming, her fans want to protect that person at all costs. And their loyalty minimizes her pain. And in that, the parasocial relationship strengthens. Documentation becomes a gotcha. Fact-checking becomes harassment. Silence is kindness. And not believing her character is a flaw on your part. It has nothing to do with her. It means that you've made a mistake. And what's so interesting about Jordan's interview that I showed you earlier is he does the exact same thing. He presents himself as this big expert, but then doesn't share any of this background information under the guise of, well, legally, I can't say anything. All the court documents are out there. The only thing legally he needs to be protecting her from is her own lies. But where Jordan takes this a step further is he frames criticism against Jaclyn as the same as physical violence. And he specifically says that this physical violence, that this criticism could have killed her.
How do we feel about cancel culture?
Oh, bro. Yo, as somebody who watched their loved one get destroyed from that, because to you, it's just a comment on a forum or an Instagram post or a YouTube video, but like, you put enough of those together and that shit turns from a sentence to a bullet, and you can kill somebody with that shit, bro.
He frames it as the critic's fault that she went through so much, not Jaclyn's own actions. Like Troy tried to explain, just because we were not there doesn't mean we can't see things that are right in front of our faces. And this is the thing too. Jaclyn Cosmetics was a public-facing business, not a human being. And criticizing a public-facing business is normal, and it happens all the time. And in this case, there was real legitimate photographic proof that there was a reason to critique that cosmetic brand. But Jaclyn, it will always be about hurting her personal feelings and not the issues with the lipsticks. That's how she manipulates people, and that's how she holds on to her audience. What kills me about all this is that she has earned their loyalty not through evidence, but through that emotional leverage that she has over them. She knows that they care about her. And she also knows that they don't want her to think that they're bad people. So they sit there and they minimize and they excuse and they rationalize things that they would never accept from someone they don't have a parasocial relationship with. And that's the real tragedy of LipstickGate, to be honest. It's not just the contamination, it's not just the lies. It's the way trust is weaponized and how she has them carry the weight for her. People that she will never know enough to care about. She's never going to know their names, she's never going to return their loyalty, and she's never going to be held accountable for what she chose to do with it. Thank you so much for watching Behind the Controversy LipstickGate. I hope that you enjoyed it and found it interesting, and I hope that it wraps some things up for you, because that's really what my goal was of this entire video, was to kind of give some conclusion to this so we can put that cap on the lipstick and move on, even if Jaclyn can't. And if you enjoyed this video, I know you're gonna enjoy the Behind the Controversy playlist. I'm gonna put it right next to me, or you can just search for Behind the Controversy Jen Love and you'll find it. I'm also gonna put next to me the Behind the Controversy on Too Faced Cosmetics, because if you like this one, I know you're absolutely going to love that one. And beyond that, I just wanna say thank you so much for watching and mad love to you. I will see you in a video very, very soon. Bye.